Yo, what's up, y'all? Damage Per Second Podcast, DPS Podcast, episode 156. Man, we're getting old in here. This podcast is ancient. This podcast is gray hairs got gray hairs. That's how long we going with this pause, but it's been a good ride, and we gonna keep rolling with it. Ain't that right, Forte?
Yeah, that's right, man. That's 300. That's 300. Jesus, that's 3 years, if I remember correctly. Almost 3 years worth of shows.
Wow,
yeah,
it's
52 weeks. Yeah, 52 weeks in a year. Episode 156. 3 years.
I'll keep it a buck with you. It don't even feel like it's been 3 years since we started doing this, man. It really doesn't.
Wow.
It doesn't feel that long at all. But I'm glad we've been doing it, man. Glad to have you with you. And we also have our probably the returning guest that we've always had, Agent Deli in the house, Eric Jackson in the house. Deli, how you doing, bro?
I'm doing well. How are you guys doing? I've just been busy at work, so I've been able to finally carve out a little bit of time here. I'll be with you guys for about 40 or 50 minutes. I may be able to rejoin you guys, but chances are I'll probably just be stuck in meetings and stuff.
Hey, completely fine. We understand. We understand you're a very, very busy developer. So
man in demand.
Right. So we have the main topic. The VGA tomfoolery is the first topic, so that you can kind of get your bars off. That other voice you guys heard is Mr. Eric Jackson. What's up, man? How's it going, Eric? It's been a minute.
Yeah, it's been too long, man. It's been too long. Happy to be back. I always love kicking it with you guys, but I figured this will be a good week to make a return. So I'm ready to get into it with you.
Let's do it. Forte, what you been up to, bro?
Man, Battlefield, working, breaking in a new puppy, which is probably the hardest thing of all things.
How many is that now, Forte?
How many puppies now? This my
how many dogs?
Well, I only have one now because my Chihuahua passed away earlier this year. See, my wife is one of those people that won't allow me to get the dog I want, so I had to give her what she wanted so I can coerce her into the one that I want later.
Right.
So we'll be.
This is some long-term gaslighting.
Absolutely. And I told her.
This is what you want.
He's playing the long game.
Yeah. You said you wanted the dachshund, right? You wanted the dachshund? I was like, yeah, okay. Well, I can get you one. I said, that just means I'm gonna get my husky in a year, right? We gonna roll with this dog. She said, yeah, I guess if you do, okay, I'll let you get your husky in a year. I was like, yes, so I can name him Yoshi and be over with. So that's the end goal. But that's what I've been doing.
The end goal is to have a dog named Yoshi. That's all you care about?
Yeah, dude, listen, Yoshi is my favorite Mario character. And there is no other dog that I can think of other than like a Shiba Inu or something like that, which is pretty much in the husky family anyway. I'm just trying to think of any other dog that would look like a Yoshi. And when I see a husky, I'm like, yo, white. I either want a gray hair or a white husky with green eyes. And I want to name him. That's green eyes.
Yeah, super specific, brother.
He's got to have a white strip, on his forehead going in between his eyes.
Green eyes is like, listen, green.
Yeah, he had to lose the fucking Agni Kai.
There's no such thing as a green dog. So green eyes. I'll take Hazel. Hazel is like the closest you'll get to it.
We're glad you're flexible on the eye color of your next dog.
Yeah, I'm definitely flexible on the eye color of that dog, but listen,
that's so crazy, man.
Just like my wife wants to name she wanted to name our dog Carlos, and I was like, no, his name is Cooper. We're gonna leave his name as Cooper. He's awesome. But the only thing that kills me, last night he had me up to 3:00 in the morning because I gave him a shower. I gave him a bath last night, and he's like still getting used to us. Like he's been here like 3 weeks, but he gets super excited when you get around him. And he'll do that submission roll where he'll roll over on his back and put his thing up in the air. Yeah, show you his belly and everything. And then when you get too close to him, he'll like get excited. He'll start tinkling on himself. And I'm like, stop doing this. Why you do this? I was like, he was like, are you nervous? Are you excited? Why are you tinkling on yourself? So literally,
this is a very odd story that you're telling on a video game podcast.
No, yeah,
about
but
your dog
no,
peeing
it's
on
just
itself, Forte.
listen, it's just the thing that like listen, like while we was on the phone earlier today, I was dead tired, bro. I felt bad because I almost, because you don't hit your dogs and stuff nowadays, but I kind of yelled at them real hard. And I was like, why are you doing this? Stop doing it. It was like sleepy in the morning and stuff. So I put him outside. He went off into the backyard and walked into the corner. Normally he comes right back up to the door, but he didn't come back to the door. And I'm like, where the hell is he at? So I go outside and look, and he's like cowering in the corner because I raised my voice at him. So he was like, wait a minute, you've never raised your voice at me in 3 weeks of me being here. I'm scared of you now. So now I feel all bad, and I'm laying on a couch with him. I don't even put him back in his little sleepy room until he gets starts licking me and stuff again to make him feel like it's okay. So it was just a bad time last night. My dog got me by the balls right now because he's so adorable and I love him. But yeah, that's all I've been kind of doing. And we played
my favorite DPS member from now on.
Shout out to him, shout out to him, Cooper Trooper.
Shout out to Cooper, the first DPS dog.
Oh, we played Remnant, and we played Remnant last night for a little bit. That's the other thing I did.
Yeah. I think I got some footage. I think I recorded it. Yeah, I got some footage of Remnant.
I got some too.
Remnant DLC, The Awakened King. We didn't really get very far. We just did a dungeon, and a
that was a long dungeon though. I was like, what is this dungeon so long?
It was partially long because we got lost, but other than that, yeah, it was a good time though. It was a good time.
Oh, you know what gameplay I do have? You know what gameplay I do have, Slow-mo?
What's that?
I have the gameplay of you walking behind me and saying that I bumped you off of the bumped you off the ledge.
You bumped me off the ledge. You nearly killed me. Is what you nearly did.
All right, tune in to episode 157 next week, where I will show in a video that did not happen. And guess what? It's beautiful because I have comms too. The comms are open on it, so you can actually hear Slow-mo say, "You almost killed me," and I'm like, "What the hell are you talking about? You behind me?"
Knowing how you normally operate the podcast, the comms will be open over us talking the entire time. But anyway,
oh my
Eric,
God, stop it,
Eric. What you been playing, man? We got me on the clock. We've lost 10 of the 40 minutes talking about dog piss so far. So what you been playing, Eric?
I've been kind of busy, like with house stuff. We're still in the midst of repairs from that flood that we had back in March. And I think we're finally hitting the home stretch. So yes, I've been kind of busy with that. I was gonna start Alan Wake 2, and I was like, you know what? That could be a little bit involved. I don't know if my head is there for that just yet. So I put that on hold for a bit, and I went back, never finished.
Make sure you're well rested. Make sure you're well rested before you start Alan Wake 2. Okay.
Actually, I know how you feel about the game. I'm gonna give you. I'll give you my honest thoughts on that. I'm an Alan Wake fan.
So you know how slander for Game of the Year, buddy.
It better not be Game of the Year. I'm going to have all.
I hope it does.
Which game y'all say?
Alan Wake
2.
Oh man, did you finish it, Slow-mo?
Heck no. I ain't.
So Slow-mo gonna finally have a Game of the Year that he ain't gonna finish. I have 3
streams, and I probably got about nearly 5 hours in the game, and yeah, I don't.
Still early. He's still early.
I don't know. Yeah.
Hey, how you still early at 5 hours? So that's because Slow-mo's just slow walking this game. He keep talking, it's boring. He's like,
he keeps nodding off.
Wait, whose stream was he? He was watching somebody else's stream. We were talking about it, and he was like, "Hey, does that game get any action happen in that game? How long does it take for it to pick up?" I forget
and couldn't nobody give me an exact number or which chapter, and I'm just like, it's had a little bit of action, but it's just, oh man, it's so
for cerebral,
man.
Right? more like it's more cerebral, so to speak.
It's all about
What I
Sam
understand,
Lee
right?
talking to you, man. Sam Lee trying to tell
But,
you to
but
read
with
it.
Yes.
that, like leading into trying to get in, started and get into it, I went back because I had never actually done the all DLC for Control.
Oh, AWE.
So
Okay, yeah,
I went back.
Yeah.
Yeah, so I went back and took care of that. Because again,
That's
I
a
was looking
great
like
Remedy
kids
game.
stuff.
I love Control. Yeah,
Control's
Control's awesome.
fantastic, man. If people are sleeping on it, definitely go play Control. And hell, even like I know Quantum Break catches some heat. I like Quantum Break until the end of the game because at the end of the game, your powers meant nothing. Essentially,
Yeah, that final boss
Like,
fight, you're basically
that was terrible.
Yeah, this
You're
is how you
running
beat
in a
the boss
square.
fight. Then you go, you do damage, then you go hide in the bathroom, and then you wait out.
You're running from the light, right? It's basically
The light,
something like that, right?
Yeah, it's so.
Like, what
I'm
am I
just
supposed
like,
to do
who
here?
Yeah, so y'all ain't gonna be
thought
talking
that up?
about Control. Control was a fun game. I like that game a
Control's
lot.
fantastic.
We're
The
not talking
DLC
about
was
Control.
great.
We're talking about.
Oh
Quantum
no!
Break.
Quantum Break was a fun game too. I like that game.
Now, Quantum Break is a really fun game.
Yeah,
Like
The
I
boss
said,
battle-
enjoyed
the-
the game.
The
The
end
final
boss
boss
battle
fight
was
sucked.
kind of stupid. Yeah, that I was like, what is this? Running a square? That's basically what you were doing the whole time.
yeah, just run from the guys. Don't get trapped in the I think it was like orange light or something like that.
The little orange light where he could, yeah.
Like that was basically it. I was like, okay, that was like a lackluster end for a game that gave you all these cool abilities and stuff, but whatever. That's neither here nor
Dude,
there. The overall game was
stylistically, that game still, man. Every time I booted up, like I finally did buy it on PC just to like get a better because the frame rate wasn't all that great when we played it on on original Xbox. It was kind of trash. So I finally bought it on PC and started playing it. And I was like, yeah, this stylistically, Remedy knows how to make a game. That's
for sure.
that's the one thing I will always give them when it comes, because most developers, they really, it's like you can kind of tell their style from game to game, and when it's like heavy in the action, you can really see it compared to Alan Wake, where like you said, it's more inducive to like the writing and just the storytelling. It's a little bit slower pace. So it just depends on what kind of Remedy game you like playing. Is kind of, and they have something for everybody with those 2-3 games that they came out with.
Absolutely. They all have like that different vibe, different flavor. Even though you can tell they're in that same realm in a way. But they definitely have like a different flavor. But with that, again with the whole Alan Wake thing, I realized too that I had never actually played through completely on American Nightmare. So I went back. I said, okay, I don't want to take too much of my time. So I played that as well. So yeah, it's been like a lot of Alan Wake. That, and like I was saying before, Luigi's Mansion 3, never finished that. So I jumped back into that. Just quick little hit games, I'd actually started that one before Spider-Man 2 as like my, my spooky season Halloween game. And just kind of ran out of time before Spider-Man 2 dropped. So I kind of just going back and finishing that off. And then I'll get into Alan Wake 2, hopefully, like over Thanksgiving or something.
Cool.
And we'll see. I'll keep it a buck. If I'm not going to Alan Wake cap even as a fan. I'll let you know.
Absolutely. That's what I like about you. Die. What have you been playing? Have you had time to play anything outside of Alan Wake that you over here?
Just Alan Wake 2, man. I just been playing a hell of a lot of Alan Wake 2. I know BG3 is getting a physical release here soon, so I'll probably be picking that up again. Just have it as a physical release. Started the new Modern Warfare 3.
Nice.
So yeah, it's just been basically playing just been playing some of the new releases, but yeah, Alan Wake was the one that caught me the absolute most. And as a person who absolutely hated the original Alan Wake, I think Alan Wake 2 is a huge step up.
Nice.
Okay. Well, you know what? Since we're discussing games that have been nominated for Game of the Year, why don't we just go ahead and just get on into it? So let's discuss the video game awards. And first, before we start looking at the actual like nominees, what do we think is going to be the actual like winner? And then for the actual like top spot, the actual game of the year. What are we thinking, Eric? What are your thoughts on that?
I'm still leaning I kind of think Tears of the Kingdom is probably going to take it overall. If not, well, you know what? Let me back that up. Definitely let me back that up. BG3 most likely, because it's just been the game that overall has had the longevity of being a part of the the lexicon, the talk, the zeitgeist, as you will. So if it's not that, I definitely think it'll be Tears of the Kingdom.
Okay.
Yeah.
I think based upon what he said already, I have an idea from Asian Deli. But Deli, what is your pick officially?
My official pick would be Alan Wake 2. I think that's probably the game that exudes the most uniqueness and also has pushed the boundaries between interactive media and game design and just gaming as a whole. I think it's just there are very few developers, if probably you can count on one hand how unique their games are and how unashamed they are to be that way. And it's basically Sam Lake and Kojima that there are only two out here in the market, and in its current day, I think that we should really celebrate those kinds of artistic endeavors. I'm not saying that BG3 doesn't deserve it. I think BG3 is definitely my second pick, and then Tears of the Kingdom would be my third pick. But to Alan Wake's regard, I think that the departure from the first into the second into survival horror, definitely heightening that marriage between interactive media and gaming, is pretty awesome, and it should definitely be awarded just on that alone. And then BG3 is like the reason why I put that in second place is because like a lot of the systems and the stuff that we saw in BG3 we saw in Divinity Original Sin 2. So I don't necessarily think that it's new, like in the terms of like stuff that Larian has been doing for years now. So that's why I think that BG3 would be my number 2 spot, and then Tears of the Kingdom would be essentially the same. I think that Tears of the Kingdom, while it's absolutely fantastic in the physics department and player agency, I think that player agency and puzzles, not player agency and narrative. But I think that when it comes to actual gameplay, I think that Breath of the Wild, it's not something too far from what we've seen from Breath of the Wild. And I don't think that was necessarily enough for me to give it Game of the Year. I think that it does deserve a lot, but just not Game of the Year, especially this year with so many heavy hitters. I just think Alan Wake 2, I just love it so much. And like I said, coming from somebody who absolutely hated the original Alan Wake, I think that 2 is a game that was just shameless in being the next level of like what it is, not only technologically, but just like as an art piece.
Okay. Forte.
Oh man, this is a 3-card race, man. Alan Wake, BG3, or Tears. You know me, I love Tears, and the biggest thing with Tears was and this was back before the game came out. I want to say in February we would talk and we'd say, hey, if we, what are they going to do to make that game different? And they basically fixed everything. Like any issue you had in Breath of the Wild got fixed in this game, and they found a way to kind of vary the gameplay enough to make it feel different. Now I agree with Deli, when it comes to like everything else, it's not too far away from what Breath was, and Breath was such a paradigm shift from what a Zelda game normally was. I don't know if Tears is going to do that again when it comes to that, especially with how strong games are right now. BG3, I don't know. That game, I just ain't into games like that. So it's just hard for me to even, I know, like, if you go to like just the reception of the game, it feels like it's everything. It feels like it's that game's to lose, basically. But the little bit I played of Alan Wake, like I put like 4 hours into it, that game is actually like surprisingly good, like really good. Like just the overall atmosphere, the ambience of the game, the storytelling, especially if you're into that type of storytelling, it's really, really cool. It's really easy to follow along with. And I think the biggest thing that it really comes down to is of the people that are, or of the of the people that are going to be doing the voting on this award, are there going to be more people that's going to probably enjoy Alan Wake, or is there going to be more people that's going to enjoy the BGS, the Baldur's Gate 3 type gameplay?
So it's 120 media outlets, so you have to think about that as well too.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying. It's a lot of people. It's a lot of media outlets that's going to be reviewing. I mean, that's going to be doing the voting on this. We could pretty much say all of them probably, for the most part, the majority, because Nintendo titles kind of just everybody plays Nintendo titles. So everybody, all those media outlets have probably somebody that definitely played them. But there's probably some studio outlets that didn't even play BGS 3.
I'm fairly certain that there's a lot of people who voted that didn't play some of the games that are nominated.
Yeah. That's what I'm saying.
Games they didn't play, because look, we've heard from voters who have said some things that have alluded to that point. For myself, I think Tears of the Kingdom's going to win, and this is just purely
that's where I'm at, by the way,
with the
to answer your question.
You finally answered the question. You spoke like 5 minutes and didn't answer.
Well, no, anyway. It's really up in, like, what I think is going to win and compared to what's going to win is two different things.
Okay, that's fine.
Yeah, because I say, like, the way like Dai laid it out. Like, if he was running an award show, I think yours would be like legit, because it would be based around what the merits of these games are. But I mean, we know how it is with like.
It's
popularity content.
I'm not gonna act like it isn't.
There's two Nintendo titles in there. Not saying that Mario Wonder don't deserve to be in there. It is one of the best games that came out this year. But there's two Nintendo titles in there amongst all of these other great games that came out that year.
And to be fair, I want to say that every game in this category that's nominated deserves to be there.
Right?
Yeah, like it's really, really hard this year.
No, but your breakdown of it all makes sense. If you're talking about the merits of the titles, you know what I'm saying? Like what they do and what they don't do.
Right. Like to me, recognizing a game that delivers an absolute best experience across all creative and technical fields, like that, it's like such a hard thing to choose. But if you really had to come down to nitty gritty, I think Marvel's Spider-Man 2 is the only one that doesn't really do anything different from its predecessor. Everything else, like Resident Evil 4, the RE engine's great. I mean, some of the new stuff is awesome. Some of the new gameplay sequences are absolutely stunning. The design is most of the same, but to be fair, I mean, that's also like a remake thing. Mario Wonder is a great party game. Tears of the Kingdom is absolutely fantastic when it comes to actual like puzzle solving. Like, just people were literally getting engineering degrees for free in the game, and I'm over here like, oh my god, like I would never be able to measure up to anything anybody made up on the internet. And then of course BG3. I mean, like it's an absolute riot of a video game. And especially at the height of D&D's popularity, I think that BG3 is just really just a wonderful entry into the world of mainstream.
My entire decision to choose Tears of the Kingdom has nothing to do with any of these games whatsoever. I never even played that game. I've played half the games on this list. I played Alan Wake 2, Baldur's Gate 3, and Marvel Spider-Man 2. I haven't played Resident Evil 4 or the Nintendo games, but I chose Tears of the Kingdom strictly because
to make me happy. Thank you.
No, not really. Because for the past 9 years, every Game of the Year winner for this award show has released before July. So the last time a game won Game of the Year from this award show, and it was after July, was Dragon Age Inquisition that released in November of 2014.
Oh, God of War did.
Yeah.
God of War came out in April.
Oh yeah, God of War Ragnarok is when it came out in November. Yeah,
and that seems to be like a criticism people keep throwing at Keely, so when these games come in, the cutoffs and stuff like that, some games just get omitted based off of that.
You can't.
That's interesting, Slow-Mo.
You can't say the cutoff is literally tomorrow. yet you've already got your nominees out. So what cutoff? You already had an unofficial cutoff. But I think Zelda is the only game on this list that came out before July. And so that's why I just chose Zelda just based off of prior experiences. I think that's the one that's going to win, not because it deserves it more than the other games, just because that's just the way it's been with this award show for the past 9 years. Now, a question I have for you guys.
There is one missing game off this list that should have been there that's not, but we'll.
We about to get into
Here we go.
It's like only the number. It's like only the best-selling game of the year.
Corny.
This question's going to go to Deli first. Are there any snubs here?
I don't think there's a single snub. No, really? I know that the hot topic here, the hot goss on the street is Hogwarts Legacy needs to be nominated. And to be frank with you, I don't think Hogwarts Legacy deserves to be nominated.
Really?
At least in Game of the Year. I mean, I'll give them
they deserve,
RPG.
Yeah, I was gonna say, do they deserve a nomination? Because I mean,
there's a conscious effort.
Yeah, you can give them a nomination on everything, but I don't think that they deserve Game of the Year.
Please explain.
As a game, what are your thoughts on the game?
I mean, I haven't played it, so I'm not gonna act like my opinion holds like that much weight, right?
How can you feel it doesn't deserve to be nominated? You haven't played it.
I mean, I've played pretty much every other game except for Mario Wonder on this list. Every other game, and I don't think that experience from what I've seen and from what you guys talk about, I don't think that experience is something that's is close to any of these experiences on this list.
Well, I haven't played those Nintendo games because I don't like those games.
You can't say anything because you just nominated Tears of the Kingdom and you haven't even played it. Look, so I don't want to see any finger pointing.
Look, no, I nominated it based upon their prior history, not because the game I felt deserved it. But I tell you what, I like Hogwarts Legacy more than Alan Wake 2.
I see that. I understand that. From your gripes from Alan Wake 2, I could understand that. I understand why people don't like Alan Wake 2. It's definitely a slow burner in that literal sense.
Yeah, and go ahead.
No, go ahead.
No, I was gonna say, like, when it comes to Hogwarts Legacy, my thoughts are that, like, I can see it be nominated for Game of the Year, but I can also understand with so much competition and so many high quality games that came out this year why it wouldn't get nominated specifically for this category. But for it to get 0 nominations, especially when there are categories where clearly there are games that were nominated for certain categories that, like, just like, what were you thinking even putting that there? It doesn't make it. I can see it being nominated for Best Art Direction because the game's beautiful and it perfectly realized what the Harry Potter universe looks like in the movies, as well as like just in general. Like, it looks great. It looks fantastic. And
keep it a buck, Slow-Mo. If it wasn't for the JK controversy, people would be all over that game as far as a licensed game and what it does and highlighting everything about that world. It has everything a Potter fan, maybe not even a Potter fan, would love as far as just being in that wizarding world.
Yeah,
so people need to keep that above.
Also, best sound. I think it could have got nominated for best sound as well. But to get to that point about the reason why it didn't get any nominations, I just gotta call out the hypocrisy of it all, because you have a game that we saw people in games media campaigning against this game back in February. We saw people trying to shame other people for reviewing the game or giving it high marks. We actually saw people out here creating websites so they can track content creators who were making YouTube videos or streaming the game on Twitch so they could bully them. We saw this concerted effort among people in games media only for everyone to give them, every middle finger they got, go out and buy the game. Now it's the highest selling game that's come out this year, and it still got great reviews, even though there were people who are within Metacritic who openly and proudly said they basically ished all over the game's review and didn't actually review the game for what it was, simply because of J.K. Rowling. I read a review where the woman gave it a 3 out of 10, and the entire review, 95% of her, is her complaining about J.K. Rowling, who had nothing to do with actually making the game. Meanwhile, we have two, not one, but freaking two games here that are nominated for Game of the Year, created by Nintendo, who nearly 10% of Nintendo is owned by a company that is basically the arm of Saudi Arabia, a country that openly harasses, threatens, harms, and kills trans people. But then we have these people who are doing all this performative stuff about comments J.K. Rowling made on Twitter. So you could be all performative and, hey, we're gonna boycott this game that you ain't want to play in the first place. But when it comes to games that you actually wanted to play, you're completely silent. You're completely silent about the fact that that company that's ran by Saudi Arabia, that kills trans people, also owns nearly 10% of Nintendo, owns portions of Embracer, owns portions of Capcom, which is also up here too. That's half the Game of the Year nominees. Represented and support it, and you put your money in and supporting a country that's doing all that. But yeah, J.K. Rowling, y'all hypocrites, bro. Just straight up, you're all hypocrite. They're all hypocrites. They're trash. You got no respect or integrity, and I don't want to hear anything they guys say about, we looked at these nominees and shut up. You ain't look at nothing. Okay.
The lack of integrity is staggering, honestly, because like it's almost as if it's like a yearly thing, right? Like it's, if you just look at the metrics, right? It sold well, it did well, it's a licensed product. Those just normally don't do well in general, right? Like it's in this era of like licensed products, like you have licensed products that just sell like a couple bucks, and they're cheap to make, and they flip, like King Kong, Godzilla games, little things like that. But here you have a licensed product that's selling AAA, genuine AAA numbers. J.K. Rowling doesn't, I don't actually know how much money she makes from the license, but I can't imagine she makes a lot.
I heard,
or
I
if
don't
any.
know for certain, but I heard she got paid a flat fee for the license.
So it's really a non-factor. It's not like you know what I mean? I've had game devs friends, like I have an actual friend that had worked on the game that got laid off. You know what I mean? Like it's just one of those things where you have so much, you have genuinely a lot bigger things in the world going on right now, and you choose to stand by something somebody said, and it's like, okay, cool, but at the end of the day, like what that has to do with actual gaming is very little, right? It'd be a different story if this is a game that came out of J.K. Rowling's pocket, and this is a game that directly funds her next house or her next car or takes care of her children. None of this does that, any of that, right? So there is a certain point, there is a certain level where you guys are drinking the Kool-Aid. Like, you guys are riding the bandwagon. You guys are saying like, well, this is the cool and popular thing to do. 2 weeks later, you guys are doing other things, and it's just really blatant at this point. It's disgusting. It's disgusting behavior. My feelings aside about how it would perform in Game of the Year category, I think it should have at least been nominated at least once, if not for best art, like for RPG. Because it actually has RPG mechanics. Don't get me started on some of these nominees. It's like actual RPG mechanics. So it should at least be nominated in that. My feelings aside, just for this Game of the Year category, I don't believe that it should be nominated for Game of the Year. I know Resident Evil 4 is in here, and that
colors it.
Yeah, I feel like maybe I should like be a little bit lenient just because Resident Evil 4 is here. But genuinely, at the end of the day, having like no nominations is just really disrespectful, especially on a game that had critical acclaim and a commercial success as well too. Like that, you genuinely just can't ignore that. You know, it'd be a different story if like Spider-Man 2 sold like 2 million copies, or Alan Wake 2 sold like 1.5 million copies. It's like, okay, obviously it doesn't matter about critical success, but all of these games up here have made a butt ton of money. And they're all rated like 8. They're all rated 8 out of 10 or higher, which is something that's, if you look at those two metrics, Hogwarts Legacy follows under those two metrics.
So I'm gonna tell you the interesting thing, the thing that made me really start, and I started this probably about a couple of weeks ago when we started talking about, you know, Hogwarts being taken out, and I said if they had the balls, they would put it in there. And it's not just because of just the game being good itself. It was mostly, dude, like it's like the Elden Ring effect. It was like, I never had, so think about, this is a Nintendo platform. We know that third party really doesn't sell on Nintendo like that. There were people, like a lot of people, and it was like on message boards and everything, because every time they delayed the Switch version of the game, people were like, oh my God, when is it coming out? The game came out in February, they delayed it to April, then they delayed it to July, then they delayed it to August, and then they finally gave the final release date, said it's coming out in November. I had so many people, like normally people just cancel their pre-orders. Like, hey, I'm gonna cancel my pre-order. I don't know when this game's coming. It may not come out at all. A lot of people kept their pre-orders, and guess what? They just went out and bought systems to play it on. But I sold so many copies of Hogwarts Legacy on the Switch. It felt like a first-party title almost. Like, I'm not gonna say it sold Tears of the Kingdom numbers like that, but it was still hundreds. Like just literally the fact that I almost sold out of it. Like I had quite a bit of. I had like over like 150, something like that. And we came real close to like running out. And the game just came out, what, Friday last week?
On the Switch, you mean? Yeah.
Yeah, on the Switch. So for me, that speaks volumes, where on a platform that traditionally third party doesn't do nowhere near as well as first party does, that game is a driving force of why it's even selling better. Because remember, it's like Slow-Mo, you sent me the what's the name from them. I'm talking about now it's the #1 selling game of 2023.
Yeah, they didn't give numbers, but they made it a part of their marketing, so they definitely know the numbers themselves. And
exactly. So it was 15 plus million all the way up basically until yesterday or something like that, or today. So now, you know, Tears of the Kingdom is confirmed as of right now to be at like 19.5. They haven't put any numbers out for it since, like, I want to say August. So we don't know if it's any higher than that yet, but for the numbers that are out there, it's at 19.5. So Hogwarts has got to be across 20 million now. And it just lets you kind of know just the power of that game. I agree with you, Deli. I don't think it is a game that, you know, well, I disagree. I do think it should be in the game of the year thing, because I feel like it's doing exactly what Elden Ring did last year. Mm-hmm. It stayed in mind share for the entire year. Like it was pretty incredible. And then on top of that, if Resident Evil's in there, bro. And it's not that Resident Evil's a bad game, because it is, because like you know, to answer Slow's question earlier, I don't think anything got really snubbed out of the game of the year conversation, because there was a lot of games that should have been in there. But you know, when you start throwing remakes in there, and then you throw 2 Nintendo games, and I told people when they added, when I played Mario Wonder back in August, I was like, dude, this game is going to be part of the game of the year conversation because it's that good. And even knowing saying that to myself, I was like, dang, that means Nintendo's going to have 2 titles in there. So who's going to really get snubbed? But I didn't expect them to put something like Resident Evil in there too. So that's just taking a spot away from, I mean, I guess you're not taking a spot because they deserve to be there, but that's why I feel like Hogwarts kind of just really did get messed over. And it wasn't just because the game wasn't good. It's because people made a conscious effort not to put it in there. It's in nothing. You can't tell me that game didn't deserve something. So y'all made a conscious effort to basically say this game didn't exist this year.
Right. It should have at least been nominated for something, because I'm going to be honest with you, if we look back on this year, there are a lot of games that were critically acclaimed and commercially successful that just slipped my mind. You know, like I didn't think about it. You know, like Metroid Prime Remake, I didn't think about it. Played it, thought it was awesome, didn't think about it. You know, and so like I can understand. Hi-Fi Rush came out in March, I think.
Yeah, what did it get nominated for?
January.
January. It came out January. What did it get? It got nominated for. What did it get nominated for?
Best Indie, I think.
A few. No, I think it was it got best music and it got
best soundtrack.
Art direction. Yeah.
Okay, best soundtrack and best art. So Hi-Fi Rush got nominated over a AAA game that is the most selling game of the year. And not saying that Hi-Fi Rush wasn't a good game, because I loved it, but it's just when you kind of think about that, it's like one game was a game that Xbox decided to just throw in and say, hey, we're giving it to you today, and it ended up being a banger. And Hogwarts Legacy is a game that people known about for a long time, and it literally had the pressure of the Harry Potter's license on top of it, and it actually succeeded. It's just crazy when you kind of think about it that way.
Well, if we want to look at like, okay, so with Hi-Fi Rush, it was best music, I think. Yeah, so it's up there with Alan Wake 2, Baldur's Gate 3, Final Fantasy 16, which had an awesome soundtrack, and Tears of the Kingdom. Now, for y'all who have actually played Tears of the Kingdom, is the music really that good?
I mean, I think it's good, but I don't think that it's anything that we haven't seen from Breath of the Wild. You know, I think to be honest with you, my vote was Final Fantasy 16. You know,
yeah, I voted for Final Fantasy 16.
I voted Final Fantasy 16. That it set the scene. Every sequence, it set the scene. It was fantastic, immaculate.
Right.
Yeah.
I'll disagree with that.
Yeah. So, and then there's art direction. I think you got. Yeah, it was in for art direction, which I get that because the animation in it is very good. Absolutely. Yeah, it absolutely deserves to be here in this category.
The character designs, the animation, like all of that about Hi-Fi Rush is amazing.
Yeah, it deserves to be in the stuff it needs to be in.
I actually chose Liza P because I really liked the way Liza P looked, and it looked beautiful. And
did you beat that?
Nah, I got a little far in it, and then I got distracted by other games. I'm going to come back to Liza P and finish it, but I got a problem with these two actually being here. Honestly,
I don't really think that Super Mario Wonder should be in art direction.
Right, like it looks no different than any other 2D side-scroller Mario game. For outstanding creative, achieving the artistic design, what was creative? Hey man,
he could turn into an elephant.
Who the freak cares? Like, why is that here?
I would actually push back and say that from a 2D Mario standpoint, it is doing something different than what the standard.
To be honest with you, what did something different with Super Mario Galaxy. So, but I don't think Mario Wonder, personally, I don't think Mario Wonder, especially when
I'm not saying it should be in for best art direction. I'm just saying that it does.
I'm surprised Street Fighter 6 isn't in here for best art direction.
I would say Street Fighter. Yeah,
right.
I would say that.
Honestly, there's so many more deserving. I actually say Hogwarts Legacy should have been here too, but there's so many more deserving games than this just, hey, let's just pad Mario Bros nomination numbers and exclude games that were more deserving. But hey, Forte, I want you to I want you to speak on this real quick. Best community support. How do you feel about best community support?
Oh Lord. Okay, before you guys start that, I just want to say thank you guys. I really appreciate you guys for having me here. I'm gonna go before my soapbox gets unfolded. You
gotta sit here for this rant real quick. What in the world? So you literally let go your whole community team, all the forward facing people of your company, and you get it's like the irony cannot be real. Like, listen, 3 years ago this was great. 3 years ago, Destiny being the best community support was amazing, because guess what? 3 years ago, Forsaken came out, which was one of the best DLCs that they made, and people were super happy with the game. And then, you know, Witch Queen was good too. But the last year, we talk about this is a calendar year award, 12 months. Destiny has been nothing but a disaster this year. You know, and then on top of that, you're firing the people, well, laying off the people, let's say it that way, laying off the people that are the community forward-facing people. And I hear people, you know, shout out to Paul Tassi out here trying to tell people that they should go out there and vote for Destiny to win this, so they can tell Bungie, like, hey, you won this award and you fired all your people. Like, that's gonna make them feel like that's gonna make them feel bad. They don't care.
They don't care how the trophy's made.
They don't give, right. So this is the most, when that came up, I literally rolled my eyes at work and I was like, oh my God, this ain't real. But you know, it is what it is. It ain't gonna win. It's probably gonna end up it's gonna go to BG3. That's what's gonna happen. It may go to Final Fantasy.
It really should go to BG3.
It's probably gonna go to BG3. I think Destiny just got in that mug just because it's like they didn't know. They didn't know. Like Jim Harbaugh didn't know, like they said, but he did.
I know you need to. I know you need to leave. I just real quick before you go. I just wanted to show that, like, so this guy right here, Remy. Apparently he didn't coach in 2023, so I don't know how they chose these esports coaches.
I don't know.
Because this guy had to come out and say, I didn't coach at all this year, so can you take me out of the nomination? Yet he's still here, so I don't know how they're going to do it.
Can I highlight something? Something?
He's like, what's going on here, man?
For the last award, the community award, the fact that Bungie's still in there, and for this dude being in there, why does anyone get upset about what happens with the game of the year through the Keeleys?
That's true.
None of it is official. None of it makes any sense. It's obvious, like, they're not, there's nobody guarding or watching any of this to make it feel truly official. So why are people upset? It is basic bitch, like, award show stuff. It's for entertainment. It's for, you know, to get releases. That's all we look forward to and talk about, like, what might they show there. They didn't even really talk about the awards.
You're right.
They really didn't. But anyways, Hami deserves this win right here. He carried JD Gaming to out of like the 6 tournaments this year. He's pushed JD Gaming to win 4 out of 6 of them in first place, and then the 5th one in second place, and the last one they got knocked out in quarterfinals awards of Worlds. I'm gonna be honest with you. This is insane.
I know Deli actually knows this.
Esports. Like, I have no idea.
I do. I pay attention to CS and League of Legends.
So I'm just co-signing what you're saying, because I have no idea.
Yeah, man. JD Gaming, insane run. Coach Yoon for the win. So he's my vote.
Well, I voted for Remy because in this one, I want him to win. So, because him winning and not actually have coached in 2023 thoroughly embarrasses the VGAs. So I want him to win. I hope he wins. So that, like, he doesn't show up. This would be one. This is esports anyway, so this is one of the ones where Jeff Keighley just rattles through them real quickly as he gets to the next, like, game announcement or whatever, or performance or something. So he probably won't even, like, no one's gonna show up on stage and accept the award for this. But I just want him to say the name of someone who didn't even coach that year, because I just think it's funny. But do you got to head out?
Yes, unfortunately, I gotta head out, so I got some.
We'll see you back in 30 minutes.
Yeah, I got. Yeah, probably. You know, I got some. What's it called? I'm trying to say this in the most graceful way possible. I have some important meetings I have to attend. Somebody screwed up. Somebody messed up.
Don't get him
something.
in trouble. We're not trying to get you in trouble or anything. You don't have to tell us who the meeting is with or what games they working on.
Somebody broke the build, so I have to go ask some questions and figure out who did it and sift through some software. and log it and get all these tickets resolved by the end of the night. So I'm going to do that. So thank you so much for having me on. I really appreciate that. Sorry that I couldn't spend any more time. Maybe in the new year, I'll spend more time doing a podcast run with you guys. But yeah.
Can I ask you a quick question? I don't know if you have the answer for this or not.
Sure.
When is the Starfield DLSS patch officially coming out? Do you know that?
It should be in schedule like this month or next.
Okay.
I think it already.
Okay,
I feel like it already came out, but I think it's probably already passed.
The Steam beta version came out, and that's it.
It passed. What's it called? It passed certifications and checks. So that's where it's at too. So sometime this month.
Okay. Cool. Just want to make sure because I want to play New Game Plus, but I'm not. I don't need DLSS to do that. But I plan on coming back once they change this so that like you can just eat food instead of having to like bring it into your inventory, and then when you're encumbered, you then go through and just chow down all the food and try to get yourself from being unencumbered, whatever. I just once they made some of the changes they said they were going to make, I was going to come back and do New Game Plus because I did beat Starfield. But cool. Thank you.
Yeah, I will check the tickets tonight and I'll get back to you with that. But as far as my knowledge, it's in the schedule for end of this month, beginning of next month. So look for it post Thanksgiving time. So it'll be here, hopefully, fingers crossed. If I check the Trello board, it'll be here before Christmas.
Cool.
Thank you, Deli.
Yeah, no problem.
The first dog in DPS says bye.
Bye, Coop. Bye, Coop. I'm actually the only reliable games industry insider that there is that you've had on DPS.
This is very true, and we appreciate you, sir.
I need a trophy. I'm gonna make a digital trophy for myself.
Digital trophy.
All right, Eric. It was nice to talk to you as always. I appreciate you hanging out.
Same, bro.
And getting able to talk to you guys and see you guys. Forte, it's nice to see you. Thank you for
too,
playing some music earlier. And then Mo, I'll catch you guys later.
Right,
play
bro.
Alan Wake 2, finish it. Please tell me how you guys feel about it. Eric, I will be looking out for your thoughts on Twitter.
Absolutely, bro.
All right, later, guys.
Have a good one, man. Later.
Peace, bro. Back to since we talked about Starfield briefly, does anyone feel that Starfield should have been in the Game of the Year conversation?
I can't really say because I only had like 14 hours in it, and I kind of I jumped off of it onto some other stuff, so I can't really say. But I'm just gonna throw this out there for Game of the Year. I honestly believe, personally, like Mario Wonder is fine, like it's fun, it is what it is. But at the end of the day, okay, it's still like a 2D Mario. I think personally, I would have put Hi-Fi Rush there as a game because I really, as a surprise, as a game that came out of nowhere.
Yeah, I agree.
Mad fun. It looked great. Like the character animations were dope. It's funny. It keeps you enthralled. It doesn't overstay its welcome. Like the whole nine. I would have put that in there.
Okay.
That's just me. But then
Go ahead, Eric.
Eric got.
No, I was done. I was just.
Oh, okay, okay.
Thought you got bought. We thought they came and got you.
Oh no, right. I'm sorry. I thought Forte was about to say something, so I was done.
Well, let me ask that question. The Forte, do you feel Starfield should have been in there?
I mean, the thing is, I feel should it have. I feel like a lot of games didn't get an opportunity to be what they should have been when it came to that. But I also think the fact that a lot of people are, upset that it isn't in part of the Game of the Year conversation is kind of like whatever. I do think that when you got a Mario game and a Nintendo game in there, well, two Nintendo games in there, it kind of feels like there should have been a space to put something like Starfield in there, or just another game in general. There's just so many games. I just think my whole thing about it is you had so many other games that you could have put into those certain spots and stuff, and you didn't do that. And Resident Evil, I feel like is a deserving game to be in there, but I just feel like if there's a remake shouldn't take precedence over another game that is a unique IP, something that hasn't been done before. And like E said, it's a 2D Mario game. Did I say that I feel like it could be in there? Absolutely. But would I have put it in there over something like Starfield, over something like Hogwarts Legacy? I would have showed a little bit more leans to those games before I would have did that. It's like normally you would see 2 Nintendo games or something like that in Game of the Year when it's like kind of it's still a lot of good games, but a weak year, exactly. And this ain't a weak year. So Starfield not being there is it a tragedy? No, because there's a lot of games that got snubbed out of that. Mm-hmm. But I do feel like people are a little upset just due to the fact that games like Mario Wonder got in there because they got two Nintendo games in there, and then the fact that Resident Evil got in there. Not saying it's not a good game, because I think everything has to be caveated with that. But I think that's why people feel like, hey, why Starfield not get in there when it's a brand new game? And I think that's the thing that people are kind of a little upset about. But, it didn't get snubbed. A lot of games got snubbed, unfortunately. It just comes down to a lot of people, they like the things they picked as alternatives to put in there.
Got you. I got 2 more questions about this Game of the Year discussion, and then I guess we can kind of decide to go through the nominations if we want, but then if not, we can just kind of move on to the next topic. So my first question is in regards to Resident Evil 4 and the fact that it is a remake that's taken up this spot and not necessarily a game that's brand new, a brand new experience. Now, I'll say for me personally, I haven't had an issue with remakes being in the Game of the Year discussion before. Like Resident Evil 2 was in there before. It was a great, remake of Resident Evil 2. I ain't see any problem with it, but it's typically been like I never want to see a remaster in any of these like award shows for any kind of nomination, but remakes I don't have a problem with. But I think in a year where you have so many great games that you shouldn't even really be considering a remake in that discussion. So what are your thoughts on that, Forte?
No, that's kind of how I was like thinking about it. It's like, it's nothing wrong with a remake being in there, but usually that's only when the year isn't as strong. Because like I said, if you're a new IP, I feel like you should take precedence over something that is a remake. Final Fantasy VII, I feel like, even though that's a completely different game, it's not even, it's got the same bones as the original Final Fantasy VII, but that game is going to be drastically different. And I still felt like that game shouldn't have been in the Game of the Year conversation. So I think that's kind of where it sits. It just sits kind of weird when you have a year as good as this year, and a lot of other games that should have been in there or could have been in there got passed over because of other games like that. But yeah, I agree 100%. That's kind of how I look at it too.
Okay, Eric, what do you think?
Yeah, I constantly go like back and forth on this, but I will 100% co-sign what you said about remasters. I don't think a remaster should be anywhere near that discussion. It's a remaster, right? Mm-hmm. But when you take into account like a remake, because I think, correct me if I'm wrong, but when Shadow of the Colossus remake came out, people were kind of talking about that if it should be there, right? I didn't think that one in particular, because I thought while it was good that they brought it forward and they did do some things, I think ultimately it still felt like Shadow of the Colossus, like it wasn't. It was like the same game. When you get into like these
Demon Souls is it's a recreated replica of the original game that From Software made. It's excellent, looks awesome, and performs awesome, but it is just literally the same as that game. At least, now I will say this about Resident Evil 4, that there are things that are different. For example, when you're like running around the town and all the villagers are chasing you, a lot of people in the original game would go up into that like clock tower or bell tower or whatever to get away, and they knew people did that, and when you attempted to do that in this remake, like the ladder will break or something, and so you couldn't go up there. So it's like there are little changes here and there that long-term fans were able to recognize and appreciate, but it's still, I don't think that's enough to really kind of like, it's not Final Fantasy VII remake. Like Final Fantasy VII remake isn't really a remake for people, like only people who think it's an actual remake are people who never played the game. It's more of a sequel. So it's just like when that was nominated, that was just fine because it's so much of new content and new things happening in it, where it has transformed it from being a more of a new creation than some of these other remakes are. So
that's a good point, because that's kind of what, when Resident Evil 2 was in there, people were like, really, I feel like people were pushing back more against Resident Evil 2 than they are Resident Evil 4. Which,
they definitely are.
Right? You see that? You feel that too, Forte?
Mm-hmm.
Oh yeah.
And I don't understand, because for the same exact reasons that you gave around Final Fantasy VII, I'm like, when you're talking about a remake, there's Final Fantasy VII from PS1, and then there's Final Fantasy VII Remake, and like you said, and there's beats in there from that game, right? And it is, you can recognize it if you play the original, but ultimately that is a ground up. Everything is different, and it looks gorgeous. It plays beautifully. Like, they changed the fighting system. They did all this different stuff to it. So ultimately, yeah, some of the beats are there, but it's a new game, right?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
I kind of felt in a lot of ways that's sort of close to what Resident Evil 2 is. I mean, granted, it is more beat for beat. Resident Evil 2, the same thing, but bringing it from where it was on the PS1 to where it is now, it's essentially like a new game, and it is like for a whole new generation. So I kind of felt like that one, if anyone you were going to talk about being deserving, that would have been it. I'm not saying Resident Evil 4 shouldn't be in that conversation, because again, it's still closer to what we play like on the GameCube and like the Wii and stuff like that. I get that, but there's more work that's going into it. But I don't necessarily know if Resident Evil 4 should be in the Game of the Year discussion. So I keep going back and forth on it, because I can see all the work that went into it. It looks incredible. I haven't had a chance to play it yet. Like, I haven't, ready to go again, just time wise. But yeah, I don't know. I think there is room for a discussion on a remake being in that conversation. I don't think it's that thing where people have this thing where nope, it's been done before, we've already seen it. No, well, old heads have seen it, but it's new to somebody.
That's true.
So it can't stand on its own. It just depends on how much went into making it and bringing it forward, how much work had to go into it, So no, like you said, remasters, hell no. So like on this, like, save file, save HD, right. And
I think I'm going to hold off on my last question until after we take a look at the rest of the nominations real quick, because I think that this last question is going to be a bit of a discussion. It's going to take a little while, I think. But let's look at. So we got best game direction here, and best game direction, it was Alan Wake 2, Baldur's Gate 3, Marvel Spider-Man 2, Super Mario Bros. Wonder, and Tears of the Kingdom. I don't know why Super Mario Bros. Wonder is here. Again, best game direct. It's the same. It's a prettier, better version of the same game format. I understand Alan Wake 2, and I actually voted for Alan Wake 2 because even though I think the game is boring, I understood where Remedy wanted to go with it, and I understood how different the game is compared to other games, and that takes balls, and it takes being brave to go out there and do something different, go more survival horror compared to the previous game, Alan Wake 1, but. Some of the nominations, I'm just like, I don't know why you're here. But Eric, what are your thoughts on this one? Eric, did we lose Eric?
No, he's there. Wonder if he got the mute.
I don't know. We'll maybe something came up, or he's working on his mic. Forte, same question to you. What do you think about best game direction?
Listen, oh yeah, he did get dropped.
Yeah.
Game direction, I mean, the little I played of Alan Wake, I really like the overall ambiance. Like I said, the story that they're doing in that game. If you're not really into the slower type of style of gameplay, it's probably going to be something that is boring as heck to you. And I know that's kind of how you fall on it. Like I feel like Tears has really good game direction, like with the upper, like you have more places that you can go in the game when it comes to being in the sky. You could be on in the sky and underground. Just the little things they made so it makes it easier for quality of life changes is really good. I didn't play BG3, but overall, you know, I can just go off what most people say they really like. They really like the fact that
just real quick, Eric had a power outage, and that's why how he dropped. So he's going to try to get back in once his power gets back on.
Yeah, that's cool. Yeah, but that's what I think. Man. I think in general, when it comes to Alan Wake, I think that's going to be the one that a lot of people are going to like kind of go with, unless you're into like the Dungeons and Dragons types gameplay and stuff, then you're probably gonna like that too. But that's kind of where I look at it. Mario Wonder. I agree with you. It's like it's a 2D Mario game. Other than you, I mean, I like the overall ambiance of it. It's a lot more colorful and playful. But you know that doesn't mean that it has the best direction when it comes to games just because of that.
Yeah. Best narrative. We got Alan Wake 2, Baldur's Gate 3, Cyberpunk, Phantom Liberty, Final Fantasy 16, and Marvel Spider-Man 2. Now,
Mary J kills this one.
Huh?
Mary J kills this one.
Now, look, I think Baldur's Gate 3 is going to win this. Just, you know, what my prediction is. I do think Phantom Liberty has the best story out of these games. And I think Final Fantasy, probably the strongest part of Final Fantasy 16 is its story. And I did like Spider-Man 2's story. But I think Phantom Liberty has the best story. That said, I do not think Phantom Liberty should even be in this category.
I was going to ask you that.
An expansion. Yeah. How are you putting an expansion? The category is for outstanding storytelling and narrative development in a game, a full game. And this is a part of a game. I don't think this should even be here. So it just seems to me that they just kept trying to shoehorn Cyberpunk in, and because it was not, they didn't feel comfortable trying to give Cyberpunk any nominations back in 2020 when it was a broken mess. But now the game is good. It's great, actually. And now they're like, oh, okay, let's give it the accolades we wish we could have gave it before. It's a great expansion, but this isn't best outstanding storytelling and narrative development in an expansion. It's a game. And so you have to take the full game into account. And clearly they're not doing that because they just got Phantom Liberty here. So yeah, I don't think it should be here. And last night I was on Brap with, you know, Enrique. Shout out to Enrique and B Money and Hamp. And it was one of the guys there that was real cool. I forgive me, I can't remember his name, but we were discussing like what categories would we have liked to see the Video Game Awards do. And B Money had a great suggestion of like a best expansion or a best new content kind of thing. For example, like when Destiny drops a new expansion, that would be eligible for this category. Phantom Liberty would be eligible for that category. When Warframe does something new, that would be eligible. Or like back in the day, Lair the Shadow Broker in Mass Effect 2, that kind of stuff. That's where you put something like this, not against full games. It's silly. And there are some really great stories and games that came out this year that are bumped for this. And that, I don't think that's cool. What are your thoughts?
No, I agree. The first thing I was going to say is when I saw Phantom Liberty there, I said, so it can be in best narrative, but it can't be in game of the year, because that's something we talked about. I was like, if you want to be 100% straight with it, it's one of the best games or DLCs that came out this year. And should we penalize it for being that? I mean, I get why we do it because, you know, it takes away from the games that definitely came out this year that do it. So I just found it really weird that they actually put it in there. But when it comes to it, I do think, you know, the little, like, once again, because I really just started playing a lot of different games this year because I dropped off Destiny. The Phantom Liberty DLC I haven't gotten to yet because I had started with my Cyberpunk playthrough. You can't get to that part until you do a little bit of the actual single player. This, as much as I talk crap about the Spider-Man narrative with Mary Jane and that stuff sucks, I really like that. I really like the narrative they had in that game.
It's a good story. I actually think it's a
really
better
good.
story than Miles Morales' Spider-Man 2018. You know, I think it's like I didn't like the fact that Mary Jane was OP. I didn't like the fact that they acknowledged that they knew the gamers did not want to see any Mary Jane missions, and they said, okay, we don't care, we're gonna force it anyway, and then just try to make it better. And it's like, but you already acknowledge that we don't want to do these missions. Like, so it's just like you're already starting from a standpoint of wrongness because you know we don't want to play these missions. So you went on ahead and then still developed 4 missions that we had to do with her anyway, knowing that the gamers didn't want to play them. That's just like when you're already doing things you know that your audience doesn't want to do in a game, you're wrong. I don't care how well done it is. You're wrong right off the break. But that said, it's a good story. It's a good story, and I like the things they've set up. I'm excited for DLCs that are coming and seeing what happens, because they do DLCs the way I like DLCs, where it's not just like, for example, Phantom Liberty is good, right? But Phantom Liberty, narrative wise, doesn't take place after you beat the game. It's something that you can do, without beating the game.
Right.
Spider-Man 2's DLC is going to be like the DLC for the first game, where it narrative wise it takes place after you've already beat the game, and I like that because it kind of continues the story along. But all that said, yeah, Mary, I don't agree with the whole Mary Jane thing. So who would you pick here for best narrative? I don't think you said that.
No, so far as of right now, I probably would pick Alan Wake. I haven't finished it yet, so I can't say. I didn't play BG3, and Spider-Man's the only game on this list I actually finished so far. So if I had to pick something just with the story that I like in Alan Wake so far, I would probably pick that. But Spider-Man's the only one on this list I actually finished.
Okay. Let's see here. Best art direction. I think we kind of already talked about this, so I can just skip this one.
We already know who won that one. Let's go.
Yeah.
I think Mario's gonna win it, but I think Hi-Fi should probably win it.
Mario should not win this. This would be really bad if Mario wins this, because it's just typical Mario.
But that's typical sales.
Or Liza P. I prefer Liza P, but I can see one of them two actually getting it, but it's fine.
I agree.
Best score in music. I like Final Fantasy 16. I have played all the games on this list except for Zelda, and I like Final Fantasy 16's music the most. What about you?
Man, Hyper Fresh got some really good music. Zelda's music, like E said earlier, is kind of more of the same. It's not really truly doing anything different. Final Fantasy does have a really good soundtrack. Yeah, especially when you're doing the Aeon fights and stuff. It's pretty crazy. But I probably would pick Hi-Fi just because it's like that game is built on the music and the beat. So it just kind of makes sense that that's the game that you should kind of give it to, because that whole game is built off of that.
Yeah. Best audio design. So this is more of like
gunshots.
Gunshots. Which I would say, I think
Dead
audio
Space
design has been great. I think almost every year you should have Call of Duty in here for like audio design. It never gets chosen because it's Call of Duty and they're pretentious like that. But its gun design is always great. I think I can see Hi-Fi Rush for the very reasons that you brought up about like how the music is really ingrained into the combat, so that makes sense. But I think the winner should either be Alan Wake 2 or Dead Space because of, playing those games. Like there'll be times where I'm playing Alan Wake 2 and you may have seen in the live streams where I would hear like I'm in the woods and I hear like a branch crack as if like somebody stepped on a branch and it feels like it's right behind me. And it just kind of makes you just turn your character around. Like, what was that? There's a lot of that in Dead Space. A whole lot of that in Dead Space. And so I think the sound design, and that's like really, especially for Dead Space, because I felt really creeped out in Dead Space. You can't do that if you have trash audio. You can't do that if your sound design sucks. Like that, it completely takes away from the experience. And I think these two games kind of really like nailed that. What are your thoughts?
No, I like I said, Dead Space. That's it for me. I don't think anything has as good of sound as that game has. That when I played, like the first time I booted that game back up recently when it hit Game Pass, I was like, oh my. And then you play it on a surround system where you can actually really, really hear the different sound elements inside the game. Mm-hmm. It's kind of second to none. I know it's once again another game that's a remake, but when you can amp up that audio and make it better, I do think there is something to that. But I also agree Call of Duty should always be on this list because
for audio design,
it's really, really good. It's very distinctive.
I did want to say best score in music. I would have put Hogwarts Legacy here.
It's good
because the music is excellent. It's absolutely excellent. So, but best performance, I think this is always a very competitive category every year because there's always some really good voice acting going on. Eventually we will get Trevor Birdsong up in here one day.
One day.
That's going to come. That's going to come, in due time. But we got Ben Starr from Final Fantasy 16. He played Clive. We got Cameron Monik. I don't know how to say that last name, so I'm just going to say Cameron. Star Wars Jedi Survivor. He plays the main character. Can't remember his name because I can't stand that game.
Kyle, which one? Kyle Kestis?
Yeah, there you go, Kyle Kestis. Yeah, Jedi Survivor pisses me off.
Star Wars, man. You got to know the Star Wars characters' names.
Anyway, we ain't gonna talk about Star Wars. That's gonna be a whole argument. Idris Elba. With, for his character in Phantom Liberty, I think he did a great job. We got Melanie LeBird, who plays Saga Anderson in Alan Wake 2. We got Neil Newbon, who I think he plays the vampire in Baldur's Gate 3, and then Yuri Lowenthal, who plays Peter Parker in Spider-Man 2. I chose Melanie, actually. She's kind of a newcomer and all this stuff. I thought she did a good job. And
I chose Melanie. I chose Melanie too for the little bit that I played with her. Played in that too when I did mine. I seen Idris Elba's play in Cyberpunk. I haven't gotten to it to experience the full thing yet, but I already know that man's fantastic when he does voice acting. So I already know it's good.
Right, and I would say this. I think for pure performance, I know my choice is more of. I'm just rooting for Melanie, but I think best actual real performance was Ben Starr as Clive. He was great. I mean, absolutely awesome. I thought he was really good. So, anyway,
did he do mocapping for that too?
I don't know. I don't know if he did or not. His voice acting was excellent. I don't know if he did mocapping because it more than likely he is the localization.
That's true.
The local English choice, and there was a Japanese guy that did it originally because it's Square Enix. But
right, that's true.
Innovation and accessibility. This is for like kind of doing stuff that help people with disabilities that to enjoy the games as well. We got Diablo 4, Forza Motorsport, Hi-Fi Rush, Marvel Spider-Man 2, Mortal Kombat 1, and Street Fighter 6. I think I chose Forza Motorsport for this because I heard that they had like ways for blind people to play the game, which I think is awesome. I have been told to shout out to Badicus Prime and Trap House Gamers. I did a show with them last Monday, and they were telling me that Street Fighter 6 also has accessibility features that help people who are blind play the game. So either one of these, if you're helping blind people play a game that primarily do something activity that primarily requires vision to do, I think that's pretty awesome. So I would choose either of those two. What do you think?
I chose Street Fighter because I didn't know that Forza. I found out about that after the fact that Forza did have accessibility options like that. I did choose Street Fighter for that reason though, because like you said, if you are helping people that normally can't even see the game, play the game like that, then that's a whole nother level right there.
Yeah. All right. Games for Imp. You know what? We don't know none of these games. We just keep it a buck. We don't know those games. We don't care. Best.
Oh yeah, I don't know what any of those games are.
Best ongoing game. I do have something to say about this. We got Apex Legends, we got Cyberpunk, we got Final Fantasy 14, we got Fortnite and Genshin Impact. Cyberpunk should not be here.
Cyberpunk is a full-fledged game. It's not an ongoing game. It's just a game that got DLC.
It's a game that got an expansion 3 years after launch. That's not an ongoing game.
Right.
These games are producing content and has a content schedule with seasons and the roadmaps that they do on an annual basis. That is what ongoing actually means. This should not be here. This is them shoehorning Cyberpunk in yet again. You know what should have been in this spot?
Diablo. Diablo 4. Diablo should have been in there. Destiny could have been in there.
But no, it shouldn't.
I'm not saying Destiny should. I'm not saying it should win.
Is also in this conversation too.
Final Fantasy 14 isn't in there.
Diablo 4 Season 1 really turned a lot of people off. I think that should exclude it from a best ongoing category. And Destiny has been trashed this year, so it shouldn't be in this category, period, just because it's
World of
ongoing
Warcraft
content. Well, I don't know what World of Warcraft did.
What is I'm saying? Because at a certain point, you're putting.
I think Sea of Thieves
Sea of Thieves could have been in there. Yeah, Sea of Thieves could have been in there. Yeah, you're right. Sea of Thieves could have made it.
They're actual ongoing games that like have an entire process of keeping people engaged and keeping people in the game, and that's not Cyberpunk. It's just not. But all right, but with you, out of the ones that are here, I would choose Fortnite, because Fortnite, when they came back with Fortnite OG map, they got 44 million people playing the game in one day. I mean, you can't beat that. I don't think anyone can beat that. So, yeah. What are your thoughts?
I say, what's the name of it? Final Fantasy 14.
Okay. By the way, can you keep an eye on the oh crap, they're in the waiting room. There's Eric. I was like, can you keep an eye on the waiting room and see when Eric jumps back in, and there he is. What's up, man? Okay, he might be getting his mic together. So we'll move on. We already talked about best community support. I don't want you to go off again, so we just keep it moving.
Yeah, but I won't do that no more. I feel bad.
You shouldn't feel bad. They should feel bad.
I don't really feel bad. I'm just saying.
Yeah. Best independent game, we got Cocoon, Dave the Diver, Dredge, Sea of Stars, and Viewfinder. Hey, if you see Eric come back into the waiting room,
I'll bring him back here.
All right. Out of these, I would say Sea of Stars, but that's the only one I played anyway, so that's the one I'm choosing.
No, I didn't play any of them, so couldn't tell.
All right. Best debut indie game. I haven't played any of these, so I got nothing for you here. What about you?
Nope. It looked like the same games.
I didn't realize this is the best mobile game.
Is it?
You know, I've played Honkai Star Rail, but I played it on PC, and it's really good. So
you can play that Hello Kitty Islands Adventure.
Yeah, I'm gonna pass on that one, sir. I really want Eric in on this this question I got, but you know what? We haven't. I feel like okay. Here we go. Best action game. We got Armored Core 6, Dead Island 2, Ghost Runner 2, Hi-Fi Rush, and Remnant 2. You know what my choice is.
You already know what my choice is too.
Remnant 2.
Remnant 2 is freaking incredible.
Is the only game it got nominated for. That's my game.
That's my game.
That is my game.
I love that game, bro. That game's so fun, man.
Yes, that's it.
I sat through 2 installs to play that DLC yesterday.
Yeah, you supposed to be looking Forte, and he's in the waiting room.
I was literally just clicking on his name. Then I heard him pop in.
Hey, Eric, what's up?
Okay. Yeah, we hear you.
Yeah, barely. Say something again. Oh, you kind of.
Is that better?
Oh, you bet. Yeah, you're good. You're good.
Oh no.
Oh, can you hear us?
Hang on a sec. Let me.
How's that?
Oh yeah, you sound better. Yeah, you're good.
Okay.
Can you hear us?
Yeah, I can hear you.
All right, awesome. What are your what are your choices? Which choice do you have here for best action game? We got Armored Core 6, Dead Island 2, Ghost Runner 2, Hi-Fi Rush, and Remnant 2.
The only one I played on this list is Hi-Fi Rush. So that would be my choice.
He said this is simple.
Yeah, it's easy for me.
We got Best Action Adventure. We got Alan Wake 2, which in my opinion does not deserve to be here. Marvel Spider-Man 2.
Why? Because
Resident
it has
Evil
no action and there's no adventure?
Exactly. There's no action whatsoever as far as I'm concerned. Resident Evil 4, Jedi Survivor, and Tears of the Kingdom. Now, I wouldn't vote for Jedi Survivor because I absolutely can't stand that game at this time. I'm voting Spider-Man 2.
I vote Spider-Man 2 too. Seriously.
Yeah. Eric,
that game is incredible.
I vote Spider-Man 2 as well, but I'm curious, what's up with you and Jedi Survivor?
Jedi Survivor is a game that probably should not have released this year. It probably
almost broke his
to come
PC.
out in 2024. No, it didn't do that.
It was the first game to question him and made him almost want to buy a 4080.
Ooh.
He wanted the first game.
He wanted the brute. He wanted the brute. No, Slomo wanted the brute force the game.
Half listens to anything I say, and then just decides to just create his own narrative on everything else.
I'm not saying I'm just playing, so I'm just making up stuff. I know. I just wanted to say something.
Thank you. The game's broken. The game was broken. They decided they launched the game broken. With forcing ray tracing on consoles, which was stupid. Then they finally took the ray tracing, the forced ray tracing out of consoles 6 months later. On PC, the game still has issues, and I have a game-breaking bug where in order for me to continue on with the game, the main quest, I need to get back into my ship. And I can't, because every time I go get close to my ship, the game crashes.
Wow.
So I uninstalled it, and I don't have any intentions of going back to it. And the fact that like the last time they did it was probably about a month and a half ago, they did their last update or patch, and they haven't given any indication that they're going to fix the game any further. It's just like, so you just done with an incomplete game? You're just gonna keep it moving? Like whatever, its story was decent. They improved on combat and a lot of quality of life improvements over Fallen Order, but you can't release a game in that state and then just leave it like that. That's abysmal, and that's I wouldn't even nominate Jedi Survivor for anything in this game of the year category. Sorry, this award video game category with that kind of of support from a studio for people who spent money on your game, yo. Like, come on.
Well, yeah, because even in that regard, like, what was it? How many months from the game's launch to them actually patching in like performance patches and everything else?
Well, they were consistently doing patches after they launched the game, but it's just the game was in such a bad state and with poor performance for so long.
Right.
Like on consoles, the performance mode did not really get like much better, like significantly better, until they stopped trying to force ray tracing. But that was like 5-6 months down the road.
Right, right. That's what I'm saying. That was like, which should be unacceptable. But here we go. We're back to, vocal community again, giving the excuse. Well, because they think they got something that they want. Well, all games release broken. I hate when people say that shit.
Yeah.
I hate
you really want your games to release broken.
Like it's okay. Well, it's okay. People forget. No, people forget that you pay money for these things. Nobody's giving this stuff out to you. And even if they were, you should still be like, I ain't taking that. Why would if I said, Slow-mo, I got the bomb sandwich, dude. This sandwich is fire. But as I hand it to you, I took a bite out of it already. You're gonna be like, oh, I appreciate it, but I'm gonna hold off. And then,
you buy a brand new car, but it ain't got no windshield wipers.
Right.
Hey, those coming next week. But what if it rains? Well, I don't know. Don't drive that day.
Well, all cars come without windshield wipers. It's like, you see how dumb that sounds? It's like
it's ridiculous. It's dumb.
So based on that, Slow-mo, I don't want to like get stuck on Jedi Survivor. I just have one more thing for you. So, you know how people always say like respawn don't miss. What does that apply to? Does that apply to the gameplay that they put out, or does it apply to? It's only the gameplay, right? Because it can't be said now about performance.
Yeah. Yeah,
they have a market.
They never consider performance with that, because like Fallen Order wasn't as bad as Survivor when it comes to performance, but it wasn't great either, and it just kind of shows that the success of that game, it kind of let them know it was okay to release it like this, or maybe let EA know it was okay to release it like this, which it's just not cool, man. Best RPG. We got Baldur's Gate 3, Final Fantasy 16, Lies of P, Sea of Stars, and Starfield. I think Baldur's Gate 3 is gonna win this.
It's only one real RPG on this list.
What?
I'm just talking.
Stop just talking, okay?
I like how Slow-mo was like, what? There's like a couple of RPGs on this list.
How about
that case, Forte wasn't even, he's not putting salt in the wound, he's flicking some salt on your wound.
Yeah, I literally was.
Ooh, what is that stinging? And Forte with that flick.
BG3 is gonna win that though.
Yeah. Eric,
let's see. What these lists are teaching me, what they're saying to me is like, I'm really behind on my games. No, I'm really behind on my games.
You get behind on your games, right?
I don't own Starfield. I played it in Game Pass. I own every game on this list except for Baldur's Gate 3, and I haven't gotten to any of them. I've dabbled in Sea of Stars. I played some of Starfield. Lies of P I have lined up again. That's like, I want to get on that quick. Dude, I'm just behind, man, on like so many titles. Way behind, dude. It's kind of 23 has been like insane, man. I feel like nowadays, when I'm playing a game, it takes me forever to finish it. I don't know what's going on, man.
I understand. I know what's going on. I know what's going on. You just, living life, man. Can't play everything.
As much as you want to, man. Damn. Yeah. I got work to do. I got to catch you
back. Now that you're back, I want to discuss something.
Let's go.
Let's discuss the Xbox tax.
The tax that keeps giving.
I think it's time we have this discussion about this.
Oh man.
Well, before we get into it, something I've seen around the Xbox tax is people trying to understand what the Xbox tax is. So if there's anybody listening who doesn't know what it is, you want to explain it to them?
The Xbox tax is where it is a automatic deduction of, I guess, Metacritic score or review scores or just credit or whatever to any game that is developed, published, or has any kind of association whatsoever with the Xbox brand. That's what I believe what we're talking about here.
Inherent bias is basically what we're back to.
Right.
Yeah, so it comes down to the normal staples from since 2013. It's everybody else's fault except for actual Microsoft's fault, even for the stuff that they just signed and acquired. Because you notice that's part of it too. Is not, if it's really good, well, they acquired them. They own them now. That's all. It's fire. That's what's up. If it's not good at all, if it's like a Redfall, well, they were working on that game before Microsoft got them.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? So
I have noticed there's always both sides of the fanboys will pick and choose when there is credit to be given, and not necessarily just giving flat out credit or not giving credit for games that started development before that developer was acquired by Xbox. And so I kind of feel like, look, if they had something to do with the development of the game, for example, Psychonauts 2, that title, if they never acquired Double Fine, Psychonauts 2 would have launched with 0 boss fights.
Right.
And it's a very high quality game, and the boss fights were very good. And so because of that, I do think that they should have credit for Psychonauts 2 being a Game of the Year nominee. I don't think that, like, there's this whole little, like, graphic going around Twitter where it's just like, for the past, like, 11 years or something, there's been no Xbox nominee. I think that graphic's false. They should have credit for Psychonauts 2.
Again, media was very high and very favorable on Psychonauts 2.
Right. So now, in regards to that, like, I think that there are people who pick and choose when media is being biased, or they're always biased against us. Like, I've seen for a while that the Xbox camp will throw around, like, you know, really well done graphics in Photoshop of, hey, we were 2% ahead, you know, on average for, like, you know, finding like arbitrary statistics and data for the past 3 years. Since 2019, we've had, you know, average higher Metacritic score. Now Metacritic matters. Average higher Metacritic score than PlayStation first party games. But if there's an Xbox tax, so are they just sometimes biased? Are they always biased? Or is it when you didn't get something that you liked? So just get our positions flat out here. Does either of us believe there's an actual Xbox tax going on?
Oh man,
no.
Eric says no. Forte, what do you think?
There's no Xbox tax. That's not even a thing.
Thank you.
It's a thing to somebody, but it's not a tangible.
It's not a tangible.
Yeah.
There's not an Illuminati out there that's like, you know, they're holding their meetings. They got some troll looking dude in a corner doing the minutes, and he's like, you know, here on the anti-Xbox committee, you know, we're going to talk about how we're keeping the green team down. You know, we almost got Phil Spencer out the door. He escaped capture once again. But hey, look, we got Starfield coming up. How many of us are guaranteed to give it a 7? You can't go lower than a 7, okay? We don't want them knowing what we're doing. By the way, make sure all your phones are in the lockbox outside the door. Kathy's going to hold them there for you guys, because we gotta make sure there's no recording devices in here. You know, it's just like, come on, none of this stuff is real. It's not real. There are people on the other side who feel like, oh, you know, they're biased against us too. Just whenever things don't work out the way you want them to, you can't just go, oh, it's because they're biased. Starfield's not a perfect game. We can go down the list of issues with Starfield. I could do it right now if y'all want. Because I beat the game and I got 70 plus hours in it. So I could go down a laundry list of issues with the game. And I understand why it has a Metacritic, like a mid-80s Metacritic score. And in a year like this year, where literally all the Game of the Year nominees are over 90 on Metacritic, y'all can't be picking and choosing when Metacritic is going to be important. From the same people who are voting on this, who are part of the reason why the Metacritic scores are what they are, because they're media outlets. So just
and quite frankly, I mean, let's keep it a buck. We were saying maybe you guys want to chill out a bit, slow it down some. You know, when you are saying before you've seen footage one of a game, oh y'all not gonna be able to stand it when that Game of the Year Starfield drops. It's gonna be a wrap. Everybody's out of here. Everybody's bowing down. It's gonna be this. It's gonna be that. We were saying for the longest, man, you are not allowing Bethesda or Starfield to skip leg day. This game is carrying way too much weight, and it may not live up to that. And just because you overhyped it and because you felt that way about it, now it's like everybody else is supposed to pay.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? And it's like, no, it doesn't work that way. And like you said, Slomo, because you don't like what people are saying, you can't pick and choose. You can't jump back over the line and go, oh, that's bias. And then when the media is like, oh my God, did you see how they revealed the Series X? That was incredibly intuitive. That was fire. Oh, and did you hear about the girl who actually suggested that to Phil and he ran with it? That's why Phil's a good dude. And the media saying that, yeah, that's right. It's all good, right? And then when they say something you don't like, it's, oh, they biased. And let's keep it a buck. Everybody, human nature, everybody has biases. You guys don't think that there's people that work for Microsoft that prefer PlayStation and Nintendo? You think everybody that works at PlayStation prefers No, that's not right. How the world works.
Yeah, people are human.
Right. Everybody's human. I mean, everybody has biases towards something, but biases don't always necessarily mean a negative either.
Yeah, true.
We've made it seem that way in this little bubble that everything, anytime is a slight, and I'm sorry, I know we're talking about the Xbox tax, but you guys got to stop jumping out the gym acting like you're a marginalized people. You're downtrodden, you're being bullied, you're being beaten. It is impossible for $1 trillion company to be bullied by anybody unless they're allowing it, but that's impossible. It's impossible for grown-ass people to be bullied online. Because you don't have to be there. You can log off.
You can log off, yeah.
You don't have to take it.
You wanna know what marginalized people are? Black people, us. You know, we're marginalized for the color of our skin and just how we were born. You know, like that's an example of being marginalized, right? It's not because you choose to prefer to play your video games on a particular piece of plastic that you think no other people don't like. And to be, look, I'm cool with a lot of the people that believe this Xbox tax thing, and I'm not trying to be dismissive or condescending of the things that they believe. But that said, like I refuse to believe that there is a Xbox tax when a game like Pentiment comes out. Mm-hmm. The vast majority of you did not like the way it looked. The vast majority of you, whether you are a PlayStation guy or an Xbox guy, you know, just completely looked away at it, laughed at its visual look, snubbed your nose at it.
Yep.
And then games media gave it high critical remarks, and it deserved it.
100%.
It deserved it. Pentiment is an awesome game. Great story. Josh Sawyer was in his bag.
Yep.
You can't ignore that games media, on overall games media, really thought it was a very good game, and then go, there's a concerted effort to keep Xbox down. Why did that not occur with this game?
Mm-hmm. Or Hi-Fi Rush.
Or Hi-Fi Rush. It's just sometimes games aren't good, or sometimes they're just okay, or sometimes they're freaking awful like Redfall.
Mm-hmm.
And also sometimes games media will weaponize your passion against you. So when you see an article that says, I'm already tired, I've already forgotten about Starfield.
Right.
And of course the logic makes no sense, because you're writing an article about the game you just said you forgot about. Clearly you didn't forget about it. You wrote an article about it.
Yeah. And what's the first thing these guys do?
That's bait.
Retweet.
Yes.
Call the troops. It is, that is slow-mo. That's me saying slow-mo. The milk is sour in the fridge, but here, taste it. Right?
It's bait, bro. They're getting you. They're getting over on you, and you're allowing it. Yes, that's how the game works.
And keeping it 100.
They got bills to pay. They need clicks. Yep. And you fall for it.
Yeah. And keeping it 100 on the other side of that coin, slow-mo. Your favorite YouTubers are doing the same exact thing to you, just on a different wavelength.
Yeah. Yeah.
They will sit here and pretend like they are completely outraged by the Game Awards, and it's a travesty. Why? Because it's good for business. They got you.
Don't say it like that.
Hey.
They got you. You coming in?
It might come for you.
It's like, oh, didn't vote for Starfield? I got my content for the week.
Yep. And
that's not hyperbole.
With Forza.
Yeah, that's not hyperbole. That's how it works with your favorite YouTubers, your favorite content creators. They're going to do a live stream. They're going to live stream their reaction to it, and then they're going to do a follow-up uploaded video, fully edited with their, further reaction to it, and then they're going to do a podcast on it.
And if they're completely wrong, you won't hold them accountable. But then they'll say, well, I'm not really media, but you ask for a media badge, you go to the shows, you show up as media, you do all these different things, you got access, you're media. And it doesn't matter if you have 100, it doesn't matter if you have 100,000, 100 people can carry a voice and run with your misinformation. So it's the same thing. Same thing that the big media outlets do. It's the same thing a small YouTuber can do.
For I tell you, you've been kind of quiet. What do you thinking, man? Or you disagree? You agree? What you got? What you got?
Nah, man. It's nothing. Honestly, it's more of everybody wants to be victim. Everybody wants to play a victim role.
Yeah.
It's like listen, man. It's games. It's the game that you. It's not even that this is the thing. A lot of the times I feel like if you go look at the hours that people play in some of these games, it's like the amount of cap you were doing for these games doesn't even add up how much you played it.
Right.
I was like, what are we really doing here? Right. You play 8 hours of the game. That's like me saying Sea of Thieves is like one of the greatest games ever and all this other stuff, but I only got 8 hours in the game. So
your hours in the game should be longer than the amount of time you spent on Twitter Spaces or YouTube podcasts talking about the game. Like, that's what's going on here. What are we really doing here? Do you really care about these games, or do you care about the platform? I say that with air quotes, the platform. Do you care more about the platform than actually playing the games that you claim to care about? Because I see people out here, and shout out to the Xbox guys that have been calling this specific thing out that I'm about to say, but I I better not see Ninja Theory show another thing from Hellblade 2 that ain't combat.
Yeah, I wish you on that.
Because I'm sick and tired of see. Look, the technology is awesome, and they got their own performance capture and mocap. But come on, where's the combat at? You know what people want to see. You're not showing the combat. Makes me start questioning things that I don't want to question with you, Ninja Theory. Because I like the work you do, but you're not giving me what I want to see and what a lot of people want to see. And I see Xbox guys call this out, and then I see other Xbox guys go, well, you know, Hellblade 2, nobody want to talk about how come Hellblade 2 wasn't in the most anticipated game. Is it really your most anticipated game? You who talk about third-person, narrative-driven, Sony kind of game? Because that's exactly what Hellblade was.
Well, it's the same dudes that were like making fun of the combat and calling it like a walking sim when they thought it was a PlayStation exclusive until Microsoft acquired Ninja Theory, and then they were going back on Wikipedia to figure out what Ninja Theory made.
Right. So it's just like you know, you don't even like these kind of games. So what's good? What is happening? Like, so like, it's okay to be like, well, this ain't my kind of game. But I understand why some people are anticipating this game. But we literally don't think about it. No one talks about, you know, I can't wait for Hellblade 2. I have never heard anyone say that.
Right.
I don't think people really checking for Hellblade 2 like that. At this point, I'm not really checking for Hellblade 2 like that.
No, and I'm a Ninja Theory fan, dude. I was when they signed them, I was like, that's great because they were almost out of here.
Yeah.
And I'm like, they're too talented of a studio to be out of here, right?
Exactly.
But I was like, I've been down with Ninja Theory for a long time.
Thank you, Xbox, for saving that studio. Because the gaming industry is better with Ninja Theory in it than without it. And I beat Hellblade, and I thought it was a good game that I wouldn't play a second time. After I beat it, I was uninstalled it, and I have had zero desire to go back to it. There are things about it I would like to be better, and that's part of the reason why I care about the fact that I want the combat to be better. But it's just like when you talk about these things, like I don't want to hear Xbox tax. If it turns out Hellblade 2 launches and the combat is exactly like it was in the first game, and that's why they didn't show it all this time,
that's gonna be a problem.
That's gonna be a problem, and it deserves to get knocked in the reviews for that. And I don't want to hear Xbox tax in those kind of situations. That's not Xbox tax. That's them being people legit saying this is a problem. They didn't address this. That should have been addressed. That should have been better. So that's all I gotta say.
That's the thing. I know it sounds like, you know, we might be picking on the Xbox. I'm not picking on Xbox fans. I rock with Xbox fans all day long. You know,
so my friends are Xbox fans,
right? But Forte, it's the people who get it, and the people who are like, nah, man, that ain't right. That ain't rocking. But it's the ones who, no matter what they do, they acquiesce to everything. Everything is on point. It's like you watch these dudes, and they're like the James Harden of video game of video game fans. It's never
James Harden.
It's never their fault.
Yeah,
it's everybody else's fault. That Microsoft can't move forward with Xbox in the way that they want to, and they have. That's the funny part. On one hand, they say, well, it's a wrap for Sony because Microsoft coming on strong, and then when something trips them up, it's the Xbox tax. Well, which one is it? Are they the Juggernaut? Or are they Jubilee?
Yeah. Look, I had Jubilee doing fireworks. I had people. So when I was like, I would like to see combat. No lie, there were people telling me, Slow-Mo, you already saw combat. And I was like, excuse me? They was like, no, you saw combat. When she threw that spear at the giant, that was combat. And I was like, nah, we're not trying to redefine what combat is here. But that's the kind of stuff that I'm talking about. When don't tell me about Xbox tax when there are people on your side trying to redefine what things are in game design. That's not combat.
No,
that was a scripted sequence. Get the freak out of here. That's not combat. Like, that's not combat. It will never be combat. Throwing one spear and running away is combat? No.
Yeah.
And it's absolutely not.
It's becoming spooky at this point. You know, considering that was what, 2-3 years ago when they did that reveal with 3 years ago now with the Series X.
Mm-hmm.
And we're like, oh snap! Look at Cinema. That looks fire. Okay, that's indicative of what they're gonna be trying to do. That's dope. And then
they showed
the most we've gotten is that scripted. We got that scripted sequence, and I'm like, and even the scripted sequence to me did not look like anything fun.
All I'm gonna all I'm gonna say is shout out to the 59 people that have more hours in Hellblade than I do, because I beat the game. And it's the only game that's on my channel that I did a review on because I love the game that much. It was that was a great freaking game.
Yeah,
the combat could have definitely been better, but bro, the experience of that game all the way up to the end was incredible. And shout out to the 59 people that were in front of me and hours played in that game, because guess what? You enjoyed a really good game. But I don't know about the rest of these people out here. There's a lot of people out here capping for stuff that they only became fans of it because it became an Xbox game. It was on PlayStation a whole year before it came to Xbox.
Forte, I'll give you one. I'll say the whole Bethesda acquisition.
Oh,
watching dudes. I was watching dudes jumping out the window for Dishonored and jumping out the window, for Evil Within and jumping out the window for Prey.
How many people were looking for Starfield before they got bought?
Dude,
nobody I know was looking for it.
All those games they were jumping out of the gym for have been dirt cheap numerous times, from the Steam store down to the PSN down to Xbox.
What about the ones that
you could have been playing them?
What about the ones that wanted to claim Call of Duty Modern Warfare 3 because it was under Xbox by the time the game came out? But as soon as the game came out and people saw that it was trash, it's like, oh no, man, that Xbox ain't had nothing to do with that game.
Yeah, I'm like, come on.
I was like, wait a minute.
Before it dropped, it was like people calling it the first party.
Let's put a pin in that one. Modern Warfare 3. The amount of people that said that the 4 out of 10. Now I agree. A 4 out of 10 is pretty. That I think
it's
a
egregious.
4 is reserved. Anything under a 5 is reserved for broken games.
Broken game, not working.
I do not think that game was broken, not working. So I think the score was too low. That said, why are you quibbling over points on a bad campaign? The campaign stinks. It's a bad campaign. I played through it, and I'm like, it's like 13 to it's like a little over a dozen missions. Only 3 or 4 of them are actually truly well-designed missions. The rest of them
because they're mostly combat missions.
Yeah, the most of them are like Warzone-ish kind of PvE, just thrown together stuff. It's not good, and compared to previous campaigns, it's not a good campaign. So, why defend that? Why be like, oh, but the 4 out of 10 is too harsh? That's the Xbox tax.
Yeah,
it's probably one of the worst campaigns Call of Duty has ever had. If someone felt that's 4 out of 10 worthy, I mean, it's people's opinions, man. I just
that's what it comes down to.
I like a lot of the people.
Wait a minute, are you playing a Shredder?
Yes, I have.
There's a Shredder skin in that game. There's a Laura Croft.
You need to come back to Call of Duty. They got Spawn in there right now, man. I can't wait for them to get the Master. Once they get the Master Chief in there, it's a wrap. Because I'm running around with the Chief. and I'm capping everybody. Let's go. Like, so you need to get back on Call of Duty, man. Let's go, man.
Look. Dude, that's crazy. I just saw Shredder standing there with an AK in his hand.
he look kind of badass too. Yeah,
he did look really good.
So, again, I like a lot of the people that's saying this stuff. And I'm pretty sure I'm going to deal with people being angry with me for even speaking out on this in the manner that I am. But I think y'all are doing yourselves a disservice by talking in the manner about this kind of stuff the way you are. And that's just my opinion, you know.
But then
people could disagree.
also, but wasn't Xbox games were nominated for what, 9, 10 other awards?
Yeah,
if I'm not mistaken, like right? That, yeah. So why is it no one ever talks about those portions? So the game of the year is the only one that really matters.
Only thing that matters, bro. You know that,
right? And yeah, because I remember too when it was being thrown about when they won Publisher of the Year. People kept going to that one. I'm like, yeah, that's fine, that's great. But see, right there, you're using that as the ammo, is like they're great in an argument where someone's saying that they're not great, but then on the same flip side, you'll say that there's bias, even though the media said that they were Publisher of the Year. And on top of that, it's the media that you guys always say is irrelevant anyway. They're irrelevant compared to the YouTubers that we have, or that we have, or the other outlets that we have now. The big IGNs and the Kotaku, well, Kotaku definitely, but all of them, they're irrelevant. But so if something is irrelevant, why do you still give it so much power?
Yeah, I agree. I don't want to harp on this for too long, because I don't want to make it appear as if we're just picking on.
No, I got one for the PlayStation community too, because I saw this one a few weeks ago when I saw dudes trying to say, when we were kids, we didn't need roadmaps. Well, we need roadmaps for it now because we're grown ass men that pay money into this.
Yeah, the same people who were going after Xbox for not having a roadmap on games from like 2017 to 2020 are now saying we don't need a roadmap. The same people who said that like, oh, only first party games matter are now championing all these third-party games that Sony has marketing for, but when it comes to first party, all they know about was Helldivers 2 next year. And they're trying their best to pretend like they care about Helldivers 2, knowing damn well they don't.
At all.
You don't care about Helldivers 2. If that was on Xbox, you would be clowning it. Cut the cap. So
I said too, they'd be clowning Foam Stars if that was in Game Pass. They'd be like, look at that.
And if you someone who likes Splatoon and you are legitimately enjoyed the Foam Stars demo, you like it, hey, you like it, I love it. But do not be out here like, well, this is a banger for next. No, it's not. Okay?
Right.
That stuff is on the level of Grounded as far as I'm concerned. That's some niche kind of multiplayer-ish, something that you kind of play in the middle of like actual big releases. And yes,
and no one's saying you can't have fun with it, but it's like how far do you want to run with that narrative is the thing, like pushing and hyping that up.
My PlayStation is turning on next year for Final Fantasy VII Rebirth. I cannot wait. I think about that game every day. That's how much I can't wait to play it. But that's February.
Mm-hmm.
What you got for the rest of the year? And yes, and Helldivers.
I swear to God, and this dude that throw Wolverine in
second party.
Wolverine coming.
Wolverine ain't coming next year.
Sit down somewhere.
I saw on Twitter. I saw this list. And someone had like 14 games listed for PlayStation next year. Matter of fact, I'm about to go find the list because I was just like,
we got Helldivers 2 and Wolverine.
No, I'm like, no, you are not with this list. Like this list is not. They had Lost Soul Aside on the list. Lost Soul Aside, the game that's been delayed 5,000 times. The game that was supposed to come out on the PS4 back in like 2016. That's on your list for 20. You cannot, no one can legit look me in the face and say Lost Soul Aside is coming out next year. Shut up. You know how many videos I've done on Lost Soul Aside?
Why?
I forgot about Lost Soul Aside, man.
I got videos saying, is Lost Soul Aside coming out in 2021? 2021.
I think you were the last one to speak about Lost Soul Aside.
Bro, I where's this list at? I can't, I got too many bookmarks. I'm trying to be bookmarking so much stuff people say.
When we were kids, we would have needed a roadmap. You were a kid. You were just worried about where your next snack pack was coming from. You didn't care about that,
Oh, man.
But you sitting on Twitter all day going at the other side about, like you said, something about XYZ, about where's their roadmap. They ain't got no games. Now it's like, because Sony's being quiet, a roadmap isn't important. But I'm like, no. If it was important for Xbox, it's important for PlayStation.
Man, I think this thing got deleted. I can't find the tweet.
Slow-mo, you actually let something get deleted?
No. Here we go. So look, all right. The list has Grand Blue Fantasy Relink, which is a third-party game. I am interested in that. I will play that on PC because it's launching on PC day and date. So there. Helldivers 2. No one really cares about Helldivers 2. Okay, like y'all can miss me with that. Final Fantasy 7 Rebirth, absolutely. That's certified banger. Day one, can't wait. Silent Hill by Bloober Team. That's all I gotta say. I ain't gotta say nothing else. By Bloober Team. Moving on. Foam Stars. We already talked about that. Rise of the Ronin. All right, okay. But is that timed? Rise of the Ronin?
I believe that is timed.
I think it is timed.
Okay. Pacific Drive. I honestly don't even know what that is. Lost Soul Aside, we already talked about. Stellar Blade. I don't know where in the listing here it says early 2024. When did we hear that Stellar Blade was going to be early? I thought Stellar Blade was supposed to come out this year. And so it's not this year. Now it's next year. I assume it probably will come out sometime. But this is Stellar Blade looks great.
Mm-hmm.
No one has ever played the game. This is a studio that has made mobile thirst traps. Okay, this is what the studio like. I made a video on this game too. It looks awesome, but it's made mobile thirst traps. Okay, that's what this studio has made. So it looks cool. Doesn't mean it will be. It also third party. Concord teaser trailer. Studio never made a game before. Don't even know if it's for certain going to come out next year, and it maybe have been one of the 6 games that got delayed. Convaleria is on the list. Do y'all know what Convaleria is? I know what Convaleria. Convaleria is a China Hero Project game. And that game has been in development for a very, very long time. I've made a video on that one too, for years and years and years ago. It's trying to be like a third person Destiny from a studio that you never heard of. You don't know any games they've ever made. So can you rely on that? Death Stranding 2, which that's polarizing. Some people love Death Stranding. I didn't. I get that. I don't know if that's coming out next year. I don't know why that's listed, but okay. And Wolverine, which we guarantee we know Wolverine's not coming out next year. It's not happening. So, where are the first party games? Because the vast majority of that list was not first party games, and probably half of them will not come out in 2024. So keep the same energy. When you out here talking about all this time, where's Xbox's roadmap? They ain't got no games, rid of games that they ain't got nothing announced. Now you ain't got nothing announced.
Mm-hmm.
Shout out to the PlayStation guys that actually have called that out and been like, yo, no, I need some transparency. Y'all gotta get better at this. I would like to know what's coming. Because that last showcase was doo-doo chunks. Do better. Where's another showcase to show us what's really going on, what you really got? Shout out to them. The rest of y'all that been capping, y'all know. Y'all know what's up. It's all cap. So.
Yep. Different side of the pillow.
Now that we've thrown all kinds of grenades at every fanboy out here, who do we miss? Who do we miss? Nintendo? Hey, Nintendo guys, actually demand better from Nintendo and stop being piggy banks. There we go. We got one for Nintendo. All right. So let's
man.
let's get into. I want to talk about. So there was something that came up with Persona, with Sega. There's actually like a lot of stuff that came out from Sega. So like these next two topics will definitely be Sega focused. And what happened with this is that like apparently there's this information that Sega potentially might be doing a Persona, probably be Persona 5, but some kind of live, well, I wouldn't say live, but some kind of adaptation with Persona and Yakuza. And so I thought that would be pretty interesting and something to discuss because, I mean, Persona's pretty popular. The Yakuza games have become way more popular than they once were at one point. And so I wanted to kind of discuss it because I kind of want to know where you guys' thoughts all on it, and if this is something that comes to pass, what would you like to see from these IPs? Like a movie, a TV show, a Netflix show? Like what would you really want to see? And Eric, I want to hear from you first.
In the vein of these kind of things, honestly, I would say keep it like a good anime, like on Netflix or something like that. Because anytime you try to move into like the live action, I know like I'm not a One Piece watcher, but I heard like good things. But then on the flip side of that, you got Cowboy Bebop.
True. Okay. Yeah.
So it could be iffy territory. You know what I'm saying? It's just my vote would be for like an anime of some sort.
Yeah, I agree
or an
with
animated
that.
show.
I'm actually. I think I would love to see it done with Netflix. I think Netflix is really kind of. Maybe I'm a little biased here because I just got finished watching Blue Eye Samurai, which is
they are in their bag with that, bro.
Oh my, they're killing it. Like Arcane, Cyberpunk Edge Runners. Blue Eye Samurai is not like an adaptation from a video game, but Arcane and Edge Runners were. They definitely right. Like they're so.
Her Pluto was great. I have Pluto lined up to watch. That was fantastic too.
They're just in their lane with that now, and I would love to see
Blue Eye Samurai. Jesus Christ, man.
Yeah, if they did a Persona adaptation, maybe because if you play Persona 5 and they also play Persona 5 Strikers kind of continues the story after Persona 5 ends. Not Royal, because Royal has a few changes and also has an extra character. The extra character isn't in Strikers, but maybe say like do a anime on Netflix and then kind of continue the story from there. I think that would be amazing. But considering, I don't know, like I don't know how Sega wants to do it. Like let me I actually read the quote here, and it says this is from IGN, and it says we have other major IPs, and I cannot say too much about it, but we are thinking of reviving other classical Sega IPs too. Right now, there are two big IPs other than Sonic. One is Persona, and also our Yakuza titles. Yakuza is really unique, but that big one is also coming next year too. So when he says big one coming next year, he's talking about was it Infinite Wealth?
Yeah, Infinite Wealth is the new one. Yeah.
So I think it's I think they're definitely mulling over those two IP for titles. Now, I think a Yakuza movie would be dope, like a live action Yakuza movie, because that one you can kind of, it's more grounded. So it's like you can do live action, and if you have a great budget with great actors, you could do it legit. So I think that could work. Unfortunately, what are your thoughts on it?
I have not really been into the anime side of everything. I did go back and did start playing Persona 5. I got to like I think the second palace, and that game is surreal. It's crazy. I just don't have 100 hours to throw to keep going in it. So it's like they all look enticing. It's just like my favorite Atlas game is oh my god, drawing a blank. Catherine. I love that game. I put so many, like I beat that game on 3 platforms. It was like so fun. And that's kind of what got me into that type of thing. But I really couldn't give you any type of what's the name, because I just never really got fully deep into what the Persona stuff is outside of the couple hours I put into it. But it is definitely fun. And I do think that it is something that a lot of people are looking forward to. I mean, think about it. It finally came to, you got the Persona 3 Reloaded that finally hit Xbox. You have Tactics that's coming out later. It comes out this week, or did it come out last week? It comes out tomorrow.
It's not out yet. Yeah.
It comes out. It comes out next. It comes out tomorrow, and my store has quite a few pre-orders on that game. So I know a lot of people that are really interested and ready to play that. It just ultimately comes down to just time. The biggest thing with a lot of these type of games, it just really comes down to like, if you're really into them, you're going to put a lot of time into it. But man, I can't see how people play games like Starfield that you play. Like, think about all the big games that like had 50, 60 plus hours that you had to put into them this year. It's just ridiculous. So, but yeah, I one of these days I'm going to jump in and I'm going to really, really put an effort into it. I haven't done it yet.
Cool. All right. Well,
the next same thing. 14.
The next Sega thing is it seems once again
they say this every 2 months. It seems
Sega has to let y'all know that they are not for sale. That they don't want to be bought. This is what I'm talking about. Yet. Sega doesn't want to be acquired.
You can't say one thing one time and then all of a sudden come back on it and say it's something different. It's not now.
One time. They've had to say it again that they are fine. Like, hey, look, they are very. It's very nice that people would like to acquire them, and they feel blessed that like people feel that way about them, but they're good. They don't want to be acquired. And every time this gets brought up, people immediately go to Bungie. But when they go to Bungie, they're like, hey, Bungie said that they weren't getting acquired. They never go into detail. Bungie, like Pete Parsons, that bastard. Pete Parsons said he said it on Twitter in response to Microsoft. And did Microsoft acquire Bungie? No.
They didn't, but Microsoft wanted to acquire Bungie, but that burn rate was too high.
And we don't know at what stage, or whether it was the negotiations were over with Microsoft when Pete Parsons said that. So when people go like, hey, like just because Bungie got acquired by somebody does not mean that like Pete Parsons was lying. At least not at this point. He's definitely has lied on some things. He wasn't lying then. So it's just. And all he said was no. He didn't say we're never going to be acquired.
You can't come out and definitively say, but that's the thing though. He definitively
said no for Microsoft, and he was right.
No, he definitively said they're not looking to be acquired. It wasn't just Xbox. He said it. If you go look at that post, it was, we are not looking to be acquired.
If I need to find it, but if I recall correctly,
I'll find it.
There was an article saying that they were in talks to be acquired by Microsoft. And then there was another tweet or something, and P. Parsons had a very short reply to that, which was like, no, this isn't true or something like that. So like it was about Microsoft. And then that was also wasn't even the same year that they got acquired. That was like in 2021, and they got acquired by Sony. Yeah, they got acquired by Sony in 2022. So it's just also Bungie, as we found out now after all of the stuff going on, Bungie would have been in trouble of potentially shutting down if they didn't get acquired by Sony. Sega is not in that kind of dire straits. So
okay, you might be right.
We just lost Eric again. He had another bad power surge. He said he's got a bad tropical storm over there right now. So just hey, don't worry about it, Eric. If you can hear this, just you don't have to worry about trying to get back in if things are really bad over there. But shout out to Eric, appreciate him. By the way, Eric and Agent Deli, their links are in the description if you want to hit them up on socials or on their own channels. All that stuff is in there. Shout out to him for joining us. Go ahead, Forte.
No. I'll say you were absolutely right what you said. It was Game Rants that put out a set more signs pointing to Microsoft acquiring Bungie's Destiny dev Bungie, and then Pete Parsons quote tweeted it said nope.
Yeah, so it's just like it's about specifically Microsoft, and anytime, and sure, like if they really were in talks of being acquired by somebody, they're not going to publicly say anything, because if they said or even insinuated that it could potentially happen, that changes, especially if you're a publicly traded company, it changes everything. Like people may buy or sell stock based upon that, and so you kind of keep all that stuff close to the vest, like. We didn't know anything about Activision until literally the day it happened. We didn't know anything about Bethesda Cinemax Media until the day it happened. We didn't know anything about Bungie until it happened. We won't know what's going on until it happens. But when you see these companies definitively come out and say, we're not being acquired, then they're not being acquired. At least not anytime soon. And Sega's doing great. They're doing very well. They don't need to be acquired. And most of the big publisher acquisitions we've seen, it hasn't been because somebody dropped a fat, overwhelming bag that they just couldn't say no to. It was because they were in a position that they needed to be acquired. And so that's not Sega. So can we let it go?
Let it go. No, I was
you
just singing. I was just singing "Let It Go," because you said "Let It Go." I don't have anything else really to say about it.
All right. What else we got here? Suicide Squad gameplay.
Oh, Jesus Christ,
bro! I don't know, man. I don't know. I did a live stream, my last live stream of Alan Wake, and people in the chat were telling me, hey, Rocksteady just released new gameplay for Suicide Squad, and I watched it at the end of the live stream yesterday, and look, if you recall, when they showed gameplay last year, I was one of the few that was like, yeah, I still want to play this. I like the verticality of the combat. Yeah, I'm down for it. There were little things that I was kind of noticing that just had me kind of go just like the first thing I kind of noticed was the environment looked really bad, and it's kind of like I remember how people was comparing Gotham Knights in the way Gotham Knights looked visually to Arkham Knight, and how like people were saying Arkham Knight looked better, and it did. But I still thought Gotham Knights looked really good. Like I actually think Gotham Knights kind of a little underrated. But at least for me, because I played it on PC, I didn't have to play at 30 frames per second on console. But and I played at 4K at like 80 to 100 frames per second. So I had a great time.
I thought you were gonna say 8 frames. Holy crap!
No, come on now.
You better you know better than that.
But no, and this was after it was patched, because at launch it definitely didn't run like that. You know, people had a 4090, you know, was running at less than 60 because it was so CPU bound. But it's not the point. The point is that like when I was looking at like there was one part, and I think it was I can't remember which characters. One of them was kind of running up a wall or something, or maybe scaling a wall, like the side of a building. And I was just looking at like the textures on that building looked really bad. I mean, like not even last gen good. It looked really bad, and I'm just like, all right, look, I acknowledge, hey, look, this looks horrible, but game's not out yet. The game can look better. Like they could be still, like we all know, you know, that well, a lot of us know that near the end of game development is when they decide to really start to optimize the game and make things look visually better. I mean, Spider-Man 2, when they first showed it, some people noticed some really odd looking, you know, assets out in the world, and to get the actual game, it did look better. So there's a chance it looks way better. I think the character models look awesome, but it's just like stuff around the world looks weird. I think the humor's there. I think the story, they're probably going to nail it. I think I'm starting to kind of feel a little different about the combat. And I think it's because I don't really see any like different personality in how you got like all these 4 different Suicide Squad members, and it almost seems as if they all kind of fight the same. Like it's I like the verticality, but it's just like I don't know. There's something I can't quite put my finger on that I'm not really.
It just looks off. Like it looks good, but it's like something about it just looks off. Like the verticality looks good, but it kind of looks like it has a floaty type of gameplay to it.
Yeah.
And I think it's just a simple fact that it's like you can show off just the overall. I like your first trailer, you show off the verticality of the game, but I think they're not really showing you anything else. It's like they're just showing you, it looks like a sandbox. And it's like, okay, this game is taking place in a sandbox, and a lot of games do that, but it's really nothing else really enticing you to think like, okay, well, there's more to this game than just this. And it could be, but they're not marketing it that way. They're marketing it kind of weird to the point where you're just like, okay, well, what more does this game have to offer? Yeah. And I think that's kind of what it is, on top of the fact that I just feel like every time you see a person jumping and flying through the air, and as good as it looks and how fun as it looks, it just looks like it's a little like no substance really there. Like you're just floating for no reason. But you won't know that until you actually play the game. But it just they're not doing a good enough job in marketing it and showing you what the game else has to offer, if you know what I mean.
Yeah.
But that game's never coming out either, but it's supposed to come out early next year. So
no, they did the release date. It's February 2nd, which I think is a good release date. I think that's before stuff like Final Fantasy VII Rebirth comes out, so that people aren't like say I'm not playing this game because it's like so close to this other game that I'm definitely going to play. That's enough time for people to, if they were interested in this game, play the game. If they want to just beat it and then move on, they can beat it in that time frame. You know, you got a few weeks, and it's definitely live service with a battle pass and everything. So you and I understand how that content rollout works. I think that if they nail it, then a lot of people they could probably cultivate a community where people will be consistent with it. I just, for me, like I like, you know, I play a lot of live service games, but I don't stick with a lot of not live service games.
No,
it's impossible to, you know. So it's like you gotta kind of pick and choose which ones that you're really going to be in on, and not everyone does live service. So I think you have a large demographic, you know, so that's there, but you got to kind of convince people to drop some other live service game that they're playing to play yours. I'm curious on whether they can actually convince people to do that with this one, and I'm a little unsure. So
it's just so saturated. I mean, how did Gotham Knights do?
I would think, well, I think review wise, critically, I don't think it did well. Even though I thought the combat was all right, it wasn't as good as Arkham's combat, but it was good. The story is probably the strongest part of it. The story was actually pretty underrated. And I think they kind of nailed the world and everything. So, I would especially since Gotham Knights is like dirt cheap right now. I think it's in like,
Game Pass too.
Yeah, it's in Game Pass. Like, try it out. It's you know, on PC.
I own it on PlayStation.
They still ain't got performance, but which also I don't think this game on consoles is going to have a 60 FPS, and I think that's the case because if you recall back when everyone was going in on Gotham Knights for trying to hide that it didn't have a performance mode, you know, even within like a week of launch, there was a developer that was defending this game, and that developer didn't work for WB Montreal, which is the developer of this game. This guy worked for the sister studio, Rocksteady. And I kind of figured then, if you really going this hard on not a game on consoles not having 60 frames per second, or at least a performance mode that attempts that, it just kind of made me feel like Suicide Squad probably ain't gonna have that either. So I don't know. We'll have to see. But they're doing this was like a 20-minute video. It was episode 1. So they're going to be doing more of these little things that come out. And so if you're interested in Suicide Squad, from now to February, they're going to be doing more little content drops explaining aspects of the game. So, you know, we'll find out more information as it comes out. Anything else you want to say about this, man?
Nah, man. Move on from that game. That game don't deserve what's in it until it actually gets closer to coming out and they tell us more about it. But the verticality looks crazy in that game. Crazy. Yeah.
Let's talk about the PlayStation Portal, and look.
Let's talk about rude people first.
Oh God, go ahead, man.
Talk about rude people. Listen, man. Listen. This is coming from the retail side of it. Be respectful to the people that when you're calling looking for stuff, it doesn't hurt you to just say, "Hey, do you have such and such item? Hey, do you have a PlayStation Portal?" I tell you, no, unfortunately, we sold out of it. You know, you can try calling these other stores and see if they got it, but unfortunately, we sold out. You know, you can say, oh, okay, yeah, thanks. You know, yeah, have a good day. Or just say, okay, thank you. And then you can hang up. Don't just hang up the phone on people, because this happens a lot, but for some reason, Slomo, today it irritated me so much. Like, I'm sitting there on the phone, told the dude, I was like, oh yeah, we're out of it. We sold out this morning. I'm waiting for him to like say something, like ask a follow-up question, like, hey, do you know if any stores have it? Man, don't say anything. They say I hear the phone go click. And I'm like, wow. The hell? I was like, listen, man, dude, I understand that, you know, manners and stuff like that went out the window a long time ago, but it's like, come on, man. If you're a parent out there, you got kids, just, you know, continue to keep teaching them manners. And if you don't got manners, try to develop some, because the next time somebody does something like that, it's quick for us to tell a person like, you know, nah, man, people give us the crap when they act like we don't want to help them. when that's not the case, because it's our job to help them. But you can at least be courteous in the aspect of like, hey, thanks for looking that up for me, or thanks for doing this, instead of just, oh, hey, how much does this game trade in for? $2? Click. You know, it's so irritating. But go ahead with your go ahead.
I used to work in retail, and you know, and Forte, I'm pretty sure you understand what I'm about to say. Showing a little courtesy and being a nice, at least appear to be a nice person when you're talking to someone and you're asking them if they have something that you're looking for, can go a long way.
Yeah.
Forte could have, for that person that just hung up the phone after they heard that his store didn't have anymore. What if, you know, the very next thing Forte was going to say was, let me go look up what other stores have some, or I know that the store 2 towns away has one. If you want to, you know, go make that drive, I can have them hold it for you. You just hanging up the phone immediately potentially lost you an opportunity of getting that device. And that, look, I've seen it when I used to work retail, and I feel no incentive to help you.
Right. None whatsoever.
You're being that much of a dick. I have no incentive to help you out. Now, with the device, it came out sometime this week, right?
It came out on Tuesday.
A lot of people who ordered them online are getting them in, and I've seen a fair number of reviews, because you know I love like little devices and stuff. I think I'm kind of done with handhelds and period. So I didn't pre-order this because I don't play on my PlayStation often enough to justify the purchase. And I mean, with me personally, like I had a Steam Deck, sold it. I had a Logitech G Cloud, took it back after 2 days. I do have a backbone. I do have a Razer Kishi, but they never get used. I just don't use this stuff, right? And if I ever go on vacation and think like, oh, look, I have a Switch OLED, 'cause my wife bought me one, and it's there. You know, I like Super Mario RPG. I'm getting it tomorrow. I'm gonna play it on it, but 99% of the time when I play my Switch, I'm playing with it docked with an actual controller in my hand, because I hate those trash Joy-Cons. I'm not a handheld dude. Even though I do think that, even though it looks funny, that it's actual DualSense like port, like I think that's it looks like it would feel better than actual handhelds feel. Right. Because whenever I play, I have big hands. I'm 6'4". Whenever I play on my hands cramp up, and I'm old, and it's like it's kind of like it hurts my hands after not even a very long period of time. But this looks like that wouldn't be the case at all with that. So that's what's up. Did you get a chance to use it at all?
I did. It's very comfortable. It's literally a DualSense split in half. It literally feels that way. It does feel awkward holding it in your hand. It does take a second to get used to. The ergonomics feel amazing on it. It feels great. The screen looks good. I think it's a really, really good and capable device. I just wish it was more than just a streaming device, which a lot of people wish it was. I think the only thing that kind of, I'm not even gonna say it really irritates me, but I just think that a lot of the people that are talking about that want to buy something like this, like they use the reason they want to buy it is because instead of just saying like, listen, you're a tech head, you're a tech head, you're gonna buy it. I'm a tech head, I'm not buying it because I just don't see the value, because I have like Slomo, do you have a game room? You have a game room, right? You have a room that you actually have your games in, right?
Well, I mean, that stuff is in my office, so I guess my
that's
office.
Your office is your office is your game room. Yeah. So it's not like you have to give up your TV. I mean, and this isn't for everybody, because there are people that share TVs with other family members and stuff, and that's where their consoles and stuff is. But you don't have to give up your gaming TV or TV to play games, do you?
No.
And that's why this isn't for you, because that's why you don't use your Kishi. That's why you don't use your backbone, because guess what? If you want to play your game, you're just going to play it right there on your TV. And that's where, most people,
if I go on vacation, I'm just going to bring my laptop with me, and I'm going to connect the GeForce Now and use a controller. Like, I still wouldn't use the handheld. I got no use for it. But that's me. There are definitely people out there that can see a use for it and say, there's multiple reasons why.
There's a use for people.
I actually saw Deli who had to leave early, but I saw Deli talking on Twitter earlier today about what he's going to use his for, and it's fine. Now, when it comes to performance, so you say you used it. How did it perform when you used it?
It worked fine. I used it. We had really good Wi-Fi where I was at, so it was very negligible when it came to input latency and stuff. I don't think it was really any issues at all. It was pretty. If you ever check out, if you want to get a really good from somebody in the community, check out BG's, because BG did a really good job, I think.
I did see. I shared it out too. It was very good.
Just showing just the latency in general of it. And it was pretty much that, if you hook it up to your editing software and went frame by frame and you had them both in the screen, you will probably see the latency like a couple milliseconds, but nothing that your TV doesn't already give you. So, and especially if you're not looking at them right side by side, you're really not going to notice it at all. But my only thing is, what is it going to be when you're not on your home or some amazing Wi-Fi, which 90% of us are not going to be when you're outside of your house? Because everybody's thing that I saw on this was either at their house. I didn't see really people at their jobs with it, because most jobs don't have like amazing Wi-Fi, at least the Wi-Fi that you can get access to for free and they allow you to just use. Is always that dumbed down version of Wi-Fi that say, oh, this is get the job done for your job, unless you work somewhere like IT or something, like a lot of people do. Maybe they got way better internet. But that's my biggest thing. How does it perform when you're out and about? I haven't got a chance to see that and test it yet. But for what I saw, when it comes to just the ability to have it in your house, walking around your house, it's a better version of what the Wii U was. The Wii U, as long as you're in your house, close proximity, 30 feet away from your system, it was great. But that was a hardwired situation where you didn't have to worry because it was native to the system. This is something you could just walk around your house with and literally get the same benefits. So I think that's a great thing about it. But what is it going to be like if you leave your house? And that's the thing that no one really knows the answer to yet.
Yeah. I think, again, I haven't used it, but based upon seeing multiple people, I saw like a multitude of people who showed their performance and showed that it looked pretty good. Latency was pretty low, excuse me, and they were enjoying themselves. And then I saw videos where it was pretty much unplayable for some people, and I have seen some people saying theirs is like restarting every like 30 seconds, which it's the first week. Sometimes things have software or firmware issues that need to get straightened out with a firmware update, so that's going to happen. I do see, for anyone who's interested in it or has or plans on getting it, it seems like what you need to make sure you're doing is that you need to make sure that your PS5 is Ethernet connected to your router.
Don't be on Wi-Fi.
Make sure you don't be on Wi-Fi. You need to also make sure that you have good Wi-Fi. You if you're using your ISP's router, that's not necessarily a deal breaker, but you need to have good internet. You need to have any kind of trash internet. And you also, I think that was really about it from what I saw. It seemed to be what the differences were between people who were using it and enjoying the experience, and the people who weren't. So do I think this is I still don't think this is worth $200 though. And even though I am a guy, I'm talking to you right now with Sony end zones on that I spent $200.
That cost $200 on.
But look, I'm an earbuds.
But that's something you're gonna get a benefit of anytime you want to. Like when it comes to, you can use them on your PC. You can use them when you're out and about and hooked up to your phone because they got Bluetooth.
These actually don't work that great on phones.
Oh, they don't.
A lot of reviews say the end zones are different than the Pulse ones. I think it's called Pulse.
The Pulse. Those are the ones for the PlayStation 5.
Right, and these are very high quality, and they're the only gaming earbuds I've ever had that I could actually play games with, and they work great. I do believe the Sony Pulse ones that they're coming out with, which also has a much better case. Because the case with this one's kind of like cheap feeling. The actual Pulse ones and not the end zone ones has more features, and it's not out yet, but we'll see how it works with phones. But this one ain't that great with phones. Regardless of that, I use this on my PC. It has a dongle, as Defloyd in the chat said, and they're great. But I'm an earbud whore. You know, like I have the Samsung Galaxy Pro Pluses, whatever, $200 earbuds. I barely use them, because I don't have a Samsung phone no more. I had them connected to my work phone that I barely use. I have the Apple AirPod 3s. I got like 2 other Sony AirPods for my phones. That's why I bought these. So it's like, really, what kind of, like, when it comes to value, it's always subjective. Because there'll be people who look at me and be like, look at what these do, and it's like, you spent $200 on those. I don't think that's worth it, and that's fine. You know, like John Wolf talking about G Cloud. I spent about $300 on the G Cloud, and I took it back because I was like, one, the experience wasn't that great. It's all cloud device. 2, I was looking at like, I'm already bored with this. I'm not going to use this thing. And 3, I didn't think that for me that was worth $300. If it was $150 or $200, then maybe I would like get an all cloud device. But probably not. It's still probably not. If someone gave it to me, I'd probably say thanks, and it would just be in a box somewhere. So it's all about what you are going to use it for and whether you actually use it. And I do think there's a ton of people who they get stuff and they just get stuff. They don't really, aren't going to really use it. And they just buy new tech because it's new tech. But I think I still think it kind of sucks that all you have is a 3.5 millimeter jack. Without that, you need to have something like these Sony end zones or the Pulses or the Pulse brands in order to connect sound. And I think it's connecting to your PlayStation, if I recall correctly. So you probably want to make sure that you're in close proximity to your PlayStation if you're going to be using those. So that I think that's kind of whack. But I mean, anything else you want to add to this?
No, that thing it's not a waste of money, but it's definitely not, in my opinion, it's not worth the $200. It's like it's a good it's $100 away from it being a standalone unit. Mm-hmm. And I just feel like there's so many different options out there for people to get that same experience if they want it through either a backbone or a Kishi or something like that. And I'm not gonna knock PlayStation for doing it because they have their own piece of equipment, their own accessory that pairs very well with the PlayStation. But I think they did it better with the Vita because the Vita could do the same exact thing and it was a standalone system. But I think the biggest thing is this kind of just brings to light that PlayStation doesn't really want to ever develop for handhelds anymore.
Right.
They barely. that's the thing that kind of that's what this tells me. They don't want to ever develop for handhelds again.
Yeah, and look, you get a device like this, maybe it'd be like a little bit bigger or a little bit thicker, but if you made it an actual like standalone device that could play PlayStation 5 games, you know, in a limited way, you know, because battery life would be a big issue if it's playing natively off of your device, or, you know, it's not doing, like, I think this can do 4K, right?
Yes, it can.
Yeah. So if you had like an actual standalone device that was actually running natively, you're not doing 4K because
right.
you're not streaming it from your PS5. You're running it natively. You're going to be more in line with your ROG Allies and your Lenovo Go's and the new Steam Deck OLED that just came out, and you're talking like at the most 1080p resolution. And you're playing around with your voltages to see how you can run with you know, with your frame rate and whatnot. Okay, John Wolf says it's 1080p. Okay, all right, that's fine. But I think if they were going to, like, this is like a half measure, I think people just would have preferred a standalone device that played their PlayStation games and could also, you know, just have PS Remote Play installed on there and allowed you to just, you know, stream directly from your PS5, but you could also just play it native. And that would be, you know, what you would do when you're playing as like a single player game and you're away from your house, you know, like it would give it more versatility and more value that way. But it is what it is. Again, it wouldn't be anything that I get, but we'll see how it goes. I think a lot of stuff sells great initially because there's always that first wave of people who were excited about it, and they were you know, they were head over heels going to get it regardless. And so it's selling out now is great. We'll see how it does in a month. You know, a month or two. We'll see what happens. If it's still selling great, if it's like Christmas time and you're still getting phone calls from rude bastards, it's just like, hey, you got that PS Portal,
Let
and
me
you're
ask
like,
you
no,
this.
no, and they just hang up, then, like, you know, then it's probably definitely going to be a success for Sony. Go ahead.
Let me ask you this. Do you think between PlayStation accessories, do you think that there's more people that would be interested in a handheld like this one, or do you think it'll be more people interested in VR?
I'm gonna say it's handheld than VR. I think VR is still very. There are people who just won't ever give VR a shot. I gave it a shot. It's not for me, but I think there's some people who just won't give VR a shot unless VR becomes something that is like you see in Black Mirror, you know, like the TV show Black Mirror, where you put like a little something like the size of a pebble on your temple and your eyes go white and you're like transported. You know, it's some science fiction stuff. Or you put on some sunglasses and it's just sunglasses. Everything's in the sun. You put the sunglasses on and boom, you're in another world. You're in the Resident Evil world. You're playing Resident Evil. Just like when VR gets there, that's when it'll get mass adopted by people. I think you're telling somebody to put something on their head, and I think there's some people who are down for that, and there's some people who will never be down for that. But
how many people are going to buy this thing and think that it's more than what it actually is?
I think a good number, probably, because you know how casuals are. They see something and they look, oh, that's a DualSense with a screen, and they think, you know, they don't do further research. They'll pick it up, and you know, some of them will be like, see how limited it is, and they can, depending on what they were going to use it for, they may determine that whether to keep it now or to take it back. But I think that all comes down to also Sony. Like, you need to be making sure that you are properly marketing it so that people know exactly what they're getting. You know?
Right. I agree, 100%.
I mean, but look, Well, in this commercial, you know, look, it says, you know, play PlayStation 5 games over home Wi-Fi. Like, that's kind of like big on the screen in the commercial. It's letting you know what this is used for, you know. So
definitely doing that. You're right.
All right. Anything else you want to say before we get up out of here, man?
Nope. That was a great show. Shout out to B Money, Eric Jackson. Shout out to Agent Deli, the homie, coming through and chilling with us, and hope to do it again with them very soon.
Yep. You want to do channel member topics? I said channel member topics.
I was about to say topics. What are you talking about?
Channel members.
Yeah, we can do
members. All right, you ready?
Yeah, pulling mine up now. I usually have this remembered. Like that's a word. Memorized.
So what are we going to talk about in this video today? Man, this is the third upload in probably 36 hours.
Actually, shout out to the people in the chat. Really appreciate you guys coming through. You guys have always been super supportive of us, me and Slow-Mo, and that definitely does not go unappreciated. But when it comes to channel members, we have under members. There they are. Shout out to FTW. Shout out to Jay, the Platinum Kraken. Shout out to Black Card. Shout out to Neil S, Erodimus, True Serum, Brat, Basement Radio, Arcade Podcast, Stardust Acero, Ramon Terrell, Trevor Birdsong, Hargy Chini, Corey Hill, Slow-Mo Backslap, DJ Oris, and that guy Smitty. Really appreciate you guys. You guys are awesome, and really appreciate all the love and support.
Yeah, for me, on my side of things, I got J 0387, Erodimus, Donnell Brown, Enrique, Hargy Shani, Truth Serum, Trevor Birdsong, Homie One Kenobi, Game & Forte, Corey Hill, and Stardust Acero, and that guy Smitty. So again, as Forte said, we appreciate you guys supporting us. You guys are awesome, and we want to make sure that you guys know that we appreciate the support that you give us. We're gonna get up out of here. Forte, you'll be hosting the show next week. Let everyone know what you got going on in between then.
Oh man, just playing games, jump back in the Remnant with the homies when we get when Luca got the time. We're gonna do that. Definitely we're working on some new stuff for the channel. I'll talk to Slow about that later, but working on some stuff for the channel that you should be seeing in the next month, by the end of this year. I'm not going to make any promises before then because the holidays are crazy and who knows how much time I'll actually have to do it. But starting next year, trying to do some new stuff on the channel for everybody. But outside of that, just playing games and having fun with your family and getting my dog to stop peeing on himself when he gets excited. So that's my goal for the next week, basically. But other than that, just normal stuff.
All right. For me, I'm going to give you guys at least one more Alan Wake stream. Okay. Just like this whole.
That's because you really like it.
No, I don't. No, because I've been doing this poll at the end. And in the and I'm just like, y'all want to see this again, and everyone just hits yes because they know they torturing me. So I'm not doing that no more. You're getting one more stream, and after that, I'll make the decision whether I'm actually beat the game or not, which I doubt I will. So it is what it is. See FCW with the laughing because he knows because that's what he's doing. That's all they're doing is just trying to make me angry, and it's just like I'm not down for it. Anyway, but yeah, there's that, and then there's a couple of videos in the tuck that I still need to finish. But I had a really good video with the first Descendant that came out. So of course, if Nexon makes any more announcements, any more news or anything like that about the first Descendant, expect the video from me out about that, informing you guys. Last video did really well, and so I appreciate everybody who checked it out. Thank you. And I think that's it. We're gonna get up out of here. So if me just go say bye-bye. Peace out, y'all. Enjoy your games, and we'll see you next week.
Eyes up, Guardian.